Oddly, it's the first time these sides have ever played each other at Perth Stadium. The last time West Coast hosted the Brisbane Lions was in 2017, and that was at Subiaco Oval. You still get these rare firsts. The big question for the West Coast Eagles, how do they respond after the emotion of the week when their coach and club parted company? 9 occasions in the last 5 years, a coach has left before the end of a season. 5 times, a club has responded with an immediate win. Can the Eagles do that against a side that looks to be building for another tilt at a grand final? Lots to look forward to today, even though it is 16th versus at the start of the week, 7th on the ladder in Brisbane. The Lions with a lot to play for. Results have gone against them and they've slipped out of the top 8, but a win could see them back up into the top 4. Clint Wilden with you. The rain has stopped for the moment. It was drizzling earlier on, but a few patches of blue above us here in the west. Mitch Turner is alongside me. Welcome, Mitch.
Great to be here again, Clint, on what is a slightly new day for the West Coast Eagles. Not the start fully of the future with Jared Schofield taking over, of course, but for the time being, no Adam Simpson at least, so a new coaching structure. And still a milestone for the Eagles to celebrate today. They're not just celebrating the career of Adam Simpson at the club. They're celebrating Liam Ryan, who plays his 100th game at AFL level. It came from Subiaco, of course, and a bit of a full circle moment. It was Jared Schofield that recruited him from Geraldton to Subiaco, which ignited his AFL journey. So a great moment for Liam Ryan, playing his 100th game, of course, an All-Australian in 2020, a Premiership player, Mark of the Year winner as well. And for the Lions, Jared Berry plays game 150 after debuting back in 2017 from North Ballarat. So a great milestone for a player that's been a great contributor for the Lions. So a bit more out there for both sides as well.
Both teams warming up downstairs. Plenty of premiership experience in the box with us. Chris Waterman, dual premiership player of the West Coast Eagles. Sharad Waterman, premiership player with the Collingwood.
Sharad like that, Sharad Waterman. How are you, Dad?
Sharad Waterman.
Sharad Willingham. There's been a bit going on today in the build-up to this game, and I feel I've been having to hold hands around the network. But if we're going to play silly buggers, Shaz, it's on for the rest of the day. Be warned right now. Sharad Willingham, welcome to you. Good to see you both. Could have just let you go through to the keeper, couldn't you?
I liked it too much. Sharad Waterman.
Oh, dear.
Premiership player that couldn't go across to the reunion. Well done, Sharad.
That's good.
Well, get stuck into him, Collingwood fans.
Yeah,
I know. I've been getting dragged over the coals by the boys over in Melbourne, and pretty upset I didn't get to go, but just had too much work on, and my commitment to my broadcast duties were taking priority.
You'd have bailed on us in the blink of an eye.
I wasn't going to bring it up. I wasn't going to bring it up, but he came back at you, Clint, so we've got to stick together down here at the bottom
honestly,
of the box.
The build-up to today's game has been just one of those moments. Welcome to you both. There's a bit to play out here. How do you expect the West Coast Eagles to respond today? And what can Brisbane do, who really do, in the last month or so, have been outstanding?
Yeah, it is a really interesting game. A lot on the line for Brisbane. They've made a massive resurgence. They started 2-5 or something like that, and you know, to be able to sneak into the top 4 at this stage of the year is an amazing effort. But from the West Coast point of view, I think that we've spoken about it during the week. You want them to go out there and play with some contest and heart and some pride, I suppose, is what you want to see shown in putting in a performance that they can come. I don't necessarily think it means they have to come away with the win. Like, I don't think that has to be the expectation. You said 5 teams out of the 9 when the coach has changed have come away with the win, which when you think about the situations when a coach has to be changed, it's going to mean that they're not going great. So for 5 times for them to come away with a win is an amazing effort, but that also means 4 times they didn't. So I'm not expecting a huge turnaround, but I would love to see some serious effort and pride shown in their performance.
In those 9 times, 5 times there's been an immediate win. On 3 other occasions, there's been a win within a month of footy. And the only outlier is, and this won't shock anybody who follows the Dockers, Fremantle. just decided that they wouldn't play this game. They just do their own thing, as they often do. 2023, end of round 17, the Suns. Stuart Dew out, Stephen King in. Next round, the Suns beat St Kilda. End of round 10, Richmond, Damien Hardwick departs, Andrew McQualter comes in. Tigers lose round 11, but then win in rounds 12, 13 and 14. 2022, North Melbourne, end of round 17, David Noble out, Lee Adams in. They win the next game against the Tigers. End of round 9 for GWS, Lee and Cameron goes. Mark McVeigh comes in. They win the next week. They flog West Coast by 52 points. In 2021, Nathan Buckley departs Collingwood at the end of round 13. Robert Harvey comes in. They have a bye in round 14. They drop games in round 15 and 16, but beat the Tigers in round 17. And in 2019, at the end of round 17, Alan Richardson departs for Brett Ratton. St Kilda beat the Bulldogs by 27 the next week. At the end of round 11, Carlton's Brendan Bolton departs. David T comes in. The Blues respond. They win by 15 points the very next week. At the end of round 10, North Melbourne's Brad Scott in 2019 steps down. Reece Shaw comes in. North beat Richmond by 17 points. And then, of course, there's Freo, who just like to upset the apple cart. God bless them, as they always do. Ross Lyon departs at the end of round 22. David Hale comes in. Freo lose to Port, and that's the end of the season. So no chance for them to bounce back. It is remarkable, though, within a month, 8 of 9 occasions, you see one of those sides bounce back. What would it have been like inside the four walls, Muddy Waterman? How do you think it would have been?
It's difficult to know. It's hard to put a finger on which way this game's going to go. I feel like the pressure is all on Brisbane. So the players for mine West Coast players would have to come out with the shackles completely released and play with a bit of flair, I would have thought. And if it goes right, they could put them on the back foot. I'm not expecting a big total in this game whatsoever, I wouldn't have thought. If West Coast do lose, they're just simply going to get beat by a better team who should be dialed in and shooting for finals football after a pretty tough start, you would have thought. But they are a good team when you look at both teams on paper. They've got West Coast by panels, but West Coast are throwing something out there a little bit different. A couple of young blokes. It's good to see Zane True and Jack Williams. So I'm not sure. I'm expecting Brisbane to win, but just unsure what we're going to get.
Let's head downstairs into the West Coast Eagles camp. No doubt it's been a very, very tough couple of days, and one of the assistant coaches at the Eagles, Matthew Knights, has been good enough to join us. Welcome, Matthew.
Yeah, hey guys, how are you?
How have you dealt with the week? I would imagine there's been a lot of emotions that you've needed to work your way through, not just as a coaching staff, but for all the players too.
Yeah, I think the whole clubbing, encompassing the whole club on, early part of the week, Monday, Tuesday, was pretty full on. Things got really hot really quickly, and then so one is dealing with that, and then the change, and then secondly is, as a responsibility as coaches, we've got to get the players in a good mindset in the last sort of 48 hours to prepare for today, and that's our job really, is to allow them to play their best football, each and every one of them. So that's been our job, just to make sure that we're pretty clear around their roles today, what the team is going to be, what sort of team we're coming up against, and we've got a little bit of the elements today kicked in with the conditions. So it's it should lend itself to how we want to play our footy today, though, these conditions.
Just on a practical side, the senior coach departs. I would imagine everybody else needs to take on extra responsibilities. How do you work out how that pans out?
Yeah, that was probably something that I'm reasonably passionate about. I know Pikey was as well, in regards to everyone has to lean into the responsibility now. It's what's happened has occurred. Simo will getting a chance to farewell the crowd today. Hopefully they're all sitting there and out in their conditions. But yeah, he'll get a chance today, and obviously his legacy's there. He's been a great coach. But you've got to move forward really quickly, and we've got to all lean into the opportunity over the next 6 or 7 weeks to step up, and that's whether that's being an assistant coach, whether it's been part of sports science, whether it's been one of the medical staff, one of the training facilities guys. We're all got to step up. So that's one element. The second element, there wasn't a lot of change, and in reality, because Sco and Boots were doing sort of stoppages in midfield. So Boots will do that, and with a little bit of assistance from Kyle Horsley today, and then Luke Webster stays with the backs. I stayed with the forwards and the kick-ins and a bit of the Eagles' ball. So there hasn't been too much of a transition in regards to the roles itself, but I certainly understand what you're saying. Everyone's going to have to dig in a bit the next 6 or 7 weeks.
Matty, that was kind of going to lead into my question. I think Scoey's a really experienced coach. He's been in various clubs throughout his coaching career. He hasn't kind of taken the seat and said, I want to change things up at all. It's kind of just been, we've got our game plan, we've got our structures, let's stick to it, let's just try and execute to a higher level?
A little bit of that, yes. There will be an element of that because at this time of the year, changing everything is probably not going to be ideal. But what we can do is we can tweak some elements of our game that I think, we went after on the training track this week, and I think we saw a shift in the training hunger and confrontation in our training. I saw a little bit more confrontational stuff in our training, which was good. And Scoey's come from Port, I've come from Geelong. We sort of big on that contest element and the contest method and the pressure. So it was a very contested training session. So we really want to see some of that today, and probably those, as I said, the conditions are going to lend itself to that and the pressure. So, yeah, I think that you will see some tweaks, and you'll probably see some tweaks in personnel where they line up at times over the next 6 or 7 weeks. I think you'll see a bit of that as well.
Do you think that the approach to training, you mentioned like the dust settles, the kind of calmness comes back around the club and you go back about your business. Do you reckon the weight was even lifted off the players group, or the playing group, who, they would have been tense, they would have had that kind of stress underlying there with the performance not being up to scratch?
Yeah, I think our performances over the last few weeks haven't been acceptable in regards to the Hawthorn game here, which I thought was very, very ordinary, not acceptable. And then the last week, that first quarter against Melbourne, just wasn't at the level of AFL football. So I think there was a tenseness around that, and and then there was the events of earlier in the week with Simo, and then I think the players thought, well, let's get up and running, let's get out there and get, I think there's only...
The shackles are off a bit kind of thing?
Maybe shackles off, but the reality is we've got 6 main training sessions left for the year, or 7.
Yeah.
And that's an hour and 20. So you're talking about 8 hours of quality training. Let's get something out of it for the last 8 weeks. Let's not just sit dormant. So that was more the messaging around, let's just get going here and see what we can really do in the last 6 or 7 weeks.
Matthew, Mitch Turner here. Thanks for coming on with us. On that messaging and talking about trying to release the shackles a bit, how much, though, do you... pre-game, and obviously Jared Schofield will have the large portion of the say, how much do you address the fact that you want a response in what is a big week for the club? And for Adam Simpson, who is here, he is being celebrated by the football club. How much do you actually acknowledge it out loud to the players and say, hey, let's go out there and let's perform for him one last time?
Yeah, I think there has to be an element of that. I think that what percentage, I don't know for sure, but there has to be an element of that, first and foremost. Secondly is the way we play our football. I mean, you're going to be judged weekly on how you play, and do you play the right way as a team? And I can't say we've been playing the right way, as in the last 2, 3, 4 weeks. I mean, we've had games this year where the Melbourne and the Fremantle game, I thought, we played the right way, we got some results, and sure they were victories, but in the games you're beaten, do you fight, are you fighting right till the end? Is every contest like your last one? So it's sort of those elements that we're really looking at in the playing group the last 6 or 7 weeks, and they all get an opportunity to show what they got as individuals as well.
Brisbane haven't played against you in Perth since 2017 either, so the last few meetings against them have been at the Gabba. How much changes do you think on the way you approached them today, given that you finally are not playing them in Brisbane?
Yeah, well, it's certainly a different look. I mean, it's fun. The AFL is in a very interesting environment. So you got an indoor stadium, then you got the MCG. Teams play better at MCG than other teams. Then Brisbane, obviously, at their home ground in the last sort of 4 or 5 years, have been sort of nearly unstoppable. So, yeah, great to play them here. We bought, I don't know whether it the rain. I mean, you think in the West Coast and West Australia, they're a dry track, Brisbane dry track, but we've probably got the neutral with the rain and the conditions. So, it's good to have him here. I suppose from a personnel point of view, is Harris Andrews is a great contested mark player. We're going to have to mitigate him and go to work and try and kick some goals on him. And then you look at Hipwood and Danaher that have been a handful for a number of teams in the last month. So that probably brings them back to the field a little bit in these conditions, albeit, we've still got to get the job done on them.
Positive for today already is the 100-game milestone for Flying Ryan. Talk to us about what his energy and his kind of persona brings to the group and how much it means for him to be able to notch that one up today.
Yeah, I think the 100 games for Liam is a fine accomplishment. He's obviously come onto the scene in the AFL and took it by storm with the way he played and the way he exhilarated crowds. And, at the end of the day, when people come into the stadiums, they want to see guys like Liam Ryan play. And, and he's also got a little bit of a hard edge about him at times, which I really like. Working with him closely, I think when he gets his body into full fitness. He has that nice hard edge of edge and creativity. So no, great performance by Liam. I said to him, if you're going to sit on someone's head today, you might have to take it on the chest while you're up there. And he said, no, I'm taking it in the hands. I'll be fine. So, as only Liam would say. So, yeah, big day for him. And that's another reason, for the players to really knuckle down today, is to support Liam in his 100th game.
Really appreciate your time, Matthew. It's been a tough week. Best of luck today against the Lions.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Matthew Knight's downstairs in the West Coast Eagles camp. Adam Simpson, his former senior coach, we understand will be addressing the crowd at 35 past 2. So that's in about 12 minutes' time. We understand that Adam Simpson's going to go out and speak to the crowd. A final chance for the Eagles fans here at Perth Stadium to say farewell to the man who was in charge when they won the 2018 Premiership. Let's head across to the Brisbane Lions rooms. Downstairs to join us, Murray Davis, one of the assistant coaches from the Brisbane Lions, is with us. Welcome, Murray.
Cheers, guys. Thanks for having us.
Outstanding that you could join us. It's a big game for Brisbane where you sit on the ladder at the moment. You've slipped just out of the 8, but you can climb up as high as potentially 4th. A huge opportunity for the footy club.
Yeah, there's, the competition's so tight. Ladder, everyone jostling for positions within the 8, so we're well aware of what's ahead of us, and West Coast are a tough team to beat over here, and we certainly need to be on the job right from the outset.
I saw your milestone man, Jared Berry, speaking during the week, guarding against, getting caught up in what's happened to the West Coast Eagles with Adam Simpson moving on from the senior coaching role. How have you gone about making sure that you've just focused on what you've had to do this week?
Well, there's an element of making sure clearly you respect the opposition and what they can do, and there'll be a lot of talk about what's happened at West Coast and how they're going to come out and play. And we said there's a responsibility on us as well to make sure that we come out and give a good account of ourselves as well. So not to get caught up in all of that and make sure we go about it the right way.
Your start last week was exceptional. How do you continue that sort of a beginning to games today?
Well, I think, again, mindset's a big part of the start of any contest, and that's what we sort of focused on throughout the week, is making sure that mindset's right. So we know it'll be tough, and they'll have a lot of support. We won't have too many Brisbane Lions supporters here, I wouldn't have thought, so we'll have to create our own energy and really feed off that.
Murray Davis, one of the assistants at the Brisbane Lions, with us on ABC Sport. Clint Wilden, also upstairs, alongside Mitch Turner and our experts, Chris Waterman and Sharad Wellingham.
G'day, Murray. Chris Waterman here. On top of what's taken place over here in the West, this is the first time you play West Coast here, so it just adds a little bit more difficulty, I suppose, to the game.
Yeah, it has been a while, Chris, and I think we played Fremantle over here earlier on in the year, so the majority of the guys have got some experience of playing here at Optus and what it's like, and so we're looking forward to that. But you're right, it's been a while since we've played West Coast over here.
Well, on top of that, the last time you did play, Alex Witherden played for you.
Well, I coach with O. I used to coach the back line, so I've had a bit to do with O. So I know what his weapons are, and I know a few of his weaknesses. He stays in touch with a lot of the boys. He's a good fellow with O. So we'll try and see if we can challenge him today.
Murray Shad here, good luck for today's game. Mate, I'd say that the midfield's really clicked into gear. The forward line still seems like it's got some growth left in it from you, when you look at the names in there. How have you kind of pegged them at this stage of the year?
Our forward line?
Yeah.
I think early on in the season, we really just didn't maximise our opportunities going inside our forward half, forward 50, if you like, and we felt like we were creating lots of opportunities and just not converting. So accuracy was a big part of that. And I think connection is an important thing. I think losing Link McCarthy and albeit Darcy Gardner, wasn't a natural forward. He played all their pre-season, so bringing Kai Lohman in and Logan Morris in, and we've missed Zach Bailey for large chunks of the season as well. It's sort of building that connection, if you like, again, and we feel like the last couple of weeks we've been getting closer to where we want to be.
So you, I suppose you'd say your focus has been on making sure you get it in there clean more so than not letting it go out, because I feel you were getting it in there a fair bit, but it was just coming out a little bit, and that's where I feel like Lohman's added a lot with his forward 50 pressure maximising when it does go in there.
Yeah, that's an important part of his game. We know he's a talent. He's got some really aerial prowess, if you like, but we need him to make sure that he's pressuring the opposition and that nothing comes out clean as well. So that's always the focus of any forward line, certainly the ones I'm coaching, on making sure that the boys are winning in halving contests and scrapping and bringing the ball to ground. And from there we can hopefully set up some repeat attacks.
Murray, Mitch Turner here. Great to have your company. Not great circumstances for him individually, but as the forwards coach, you must have had a little smile when you found out that there was no chance Jeremy McGovern was playing for the Eagles today.
Yeah, a little small. I won't lie. I just respect he's a wonderful player.
Just made the job a little bit easier for the forwards.
Yeah, maybe somewhat. But look, the guys, I think West Coast, at their best when they get their numbers back and fill a lot of holes inside our forward 50, they're really hard to score against. So, we'll be mindful of that. Obviously, a lot of responsibility will fall on Barras, but certainly, Jeremy's a terrific player. He's one that I've studied for a long time. He's a superstar.
Do you get the sense, I know they're professionals and they go out to perform every week, but do you get the sense when you see Eric Hipwood and Joe Danaher pre-game that when there is a big name missing from the opposition backline that they're just a little more up and about, knowing that they could, if they go well, get hold of the other side?
Oh, I don't see that in them. I think, as soon as Joey and Eric, those two that you mentioned, knew that Jeremy wasn't playing, they really just got to work on who was going to come in and the back line that we would be facing as a unit. So I haven't sensed that. I think, if anything, they're always on guard a little bit because there's a little bit of uncertainty around Jeremy not being there. I think it's easier to scout when you know the main piece of the back line is there. With him not being there, who knows what they'll throw at us, and especially given that there's a new coach at the helm.
Murray, talk to us about Brucey Rebel. He's come in and really excited me from the little bit that I've seen, but what's his story coming into the club?
Yeah, it's a terrific story because it's one full of perseverance and resilience, because he hasn't traditionally come in, I suppose, a traditional way. He's had to really fight and scrap for his opportunity. He was involved in our VFL program. He's been involved in our program for a long time through the academy, and he was just being overlooked. And he kept persisting. He was working 3 different jobs. He was working at Bunnings and playing VFL footy, and then going and working at the abattoirs, and
wow.
It's just a great story of, as I said, persistence and resilience, because he hasn't done it the traditional way, and he's a much loved player within our 4 walls.
I'll tell you what, I took notice when he landed that tackle on somebody in the forward pocket. Probably in his first or second game, maybe even.
Correct. I think it was on young Riley Sanders for the Bulldogs. It was at Marvel Stadium, and he's had a bit of a cult following. And to be fair, he's been doing that in our VFL for a long time. And that's what we loved about him, is he does all that stuff, and he's really just worked hard to give himself that opportunity.
Murray Davis from the Brisbane Lions is with us here on ABC Sport. A couple before we let you go, Murray. I'm really keen. We know a couple of the big names have now dropped out of contention. There's another big name still in the Brownlow medal race. We speak of someone who's won it twice before, Lachie Neale. Have you compared his form this year to what we've seen when he's won that Premier Award in recent seasons?
Yeah, I have the great luxury of seeing him up close and at work, and he's had as good a season. I think he's got every right to be up there in contention. Obviously, you don't get to see every other player that's in the competition as closely as what I do with Lachie, but the way he has worked his way, I mean, he's just had a really good run at it too. Last year, he was sort of carrying niggling injuries, and he's just really fit and firing at the moment. He's clearly an important part to our midfield group and our midfield dynamic.
He comes in good form too, just a casual 36 and 3 last week. Last one for you, bigger picture one. Always interested to speak to people from the Northern Territory. We know the success that you had there as a coach. With all the discussion moving to 19 teams and then potentially to 20, do you think that the Territory is in a position where, in the not too distant future, you know what it's required to have an AFL club? Do you think the Territory could support an AFL team?
Oh, I do. I mean, I've lived it, and I see what the game does for the people of the Northern Territory. I think it'd be just fantastic. I think our game is in such a strong safehold, and the way that our game promotes community and involvement and participation. And I just think it'd have a huge impact on the Northern Territory as a place. I know there's a lot of things that have to happen for that to be the case, but having lived and worked up there and seeing what it does for the people of the Northern Territory, I'd love to see it happen.
Appreciate your time, Murray. Best of luck today.
Thanks very much, guys. Thanks for having me.
Murray Davis downstairs. Great he could be with us here at Perth Stadium. The Eagles have just been introduced to the home crowd. They're dropping the goal nets, and Adam Simpson has walked out surrounded by photographers. He's about to be joined by the on-ground MC for the West Coast Eagles. We'll bring you what he's got to say in just a few moments. The Lions lining up in the middle of the ground. They're just doing their ruck work as we speak. And if you've just joined us, no late changes. Tyler Brockman for the West Coast Eagles is their sub. For Brisbane, it's Bruce Reville. So put a line through the line through the emergencies, Darling, Rotham and Cully, while for Brisbane, no Robertson, no Pryor and no Darcy Fort. You can hear the cheer that starts to echo around the ground. Has some vision. The great moments in Adam Simpson's career shown to the Perth Stadium crowd from when he first joined the club, to the premierships, to the many coaching achievements that he had, watching the players develop and grow from young men into men and then to fathers with families. It's been shared as many of the Eagles supporters beneath our broadcast position stand up to soak in this last chance to say farewell to Adam Simpson. Incredible career. We mentioned the 2018 premiership, 242 games as coach, the third most in Eagles history, 6 finals campaigns, 2 grand final appearances, of course, making the grand final in 2015 against Hawthorn and capping that off with the 2018 flag. We'll love to hear from you today, your thoughts, your favourite memories of Adam Simpson. If you'd like to get in touch with us, you can 0437 774 774. Your favourite memory of Adam Simpson if you're a West Coast supporter listening to us on 720 ABC Perth, on ABC WA, and of course on the ABC Listen app right around the world. Lions wearing the Fitzroy style jumper. They've got the white shorts on today, the red with the blue shoulders and the golden regal line on the front. The Eagles are wearing their NAIDOC jumper, so predominantly in the gold with the blue shorts. Round of applause for Adam Simpson. Let's have a listen. And head downstairs to Carl
Out
Langdon.
here with Adam Simpson, everybody. 11 seasons as coach, 242 games, 6 finals campaigns, 2 grand finals and a premiership in 2018, Simo. Thanks for your service to the footy club, mate. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's a little awkward. Look, really quickly, just on behalf of the players, the coaches and the footy club, we'd just like to thank you guys for your support over the last 11 years. It's just been an amazing run. We've had a lot of success, and how good was 18? But we've also had some hard times as well, and can't thank you guys enough and show enough appreciation of the last 12 months, how you've stuck by the boys, you've stuck by me, and you're stuck by the club. I'll be part of you guys now. I'll be up in the stands somewhere. Just need to get a couple of tips from someone. I'll be watching on. I can't wait to see these boys play in the next part of the journey of the football club. Thanks for everything. Let's get on with it. Go Eagles. Thank you.
Adam Simpson, everybody. Thank you, Simo.
There'd be 40-odd thousand in the ground. To a person, they have stood and applauded Adam Simpson. We'll get a final photograph or two in the middle. Goes across to wave at all 4 corners of Perth Stadium. The old school Eagles jacket on. Oh. Plenty of great memories to this powerhouse football club. They parted ways this week. And as the applause continues, both teams have had to focus on what they're doing. The Eagles continue to warm up, so too the Brisbane Lions. How does this pan out? Chris Waterman, Sharad Wellingham with us on ABC Sport. Gents?
Yeah, there's a bit of emotion there, wasn't there? It was a great touch to see pretty much everybody in the stadium out of their seats and paying due respect to Adam Simpson. True Adam Simpson form. He didn't want to make too much of it, though, did he? Wanted to get on with it pretty quickly. It's a massive game for the opportunity in front of Brisbane. I think that their midfield has really, really clicked into gear. Their ability to own clearance through Lachie Neale has been. I think he leads their clearances by 10 or 12 in front of the next guy. So massive task for West Coast midfield to go up against. But I think that the shackles coming off for West Coast gives them an opportunity to play with some freedom. I know that Schofield in his coaching tenure as head coach at Subiaco was really big on contest and making sure that you got from contest to contest. So hopefully we can see him transferring that. I know it's only been a couple of days and a couple of sessions, but hopefully we can see that transfer straight away.
Let's go back out into the middle.
Toss of the coin coming up here. Adam Simpson there doing the honours in the middle of Perth Stadium. A number of players from both sides to celebrate NAIDOC week as Adam Simpson, a bit of theatrics as he tosses the coin in the air. Harris Andrews from the Brisbane Lions has won the toss. And we'll kick to the Graham Farmer Freeway end of the ground. There was a bit of theatrics. He tossed the coin in the air and continued to look at the sky, pretending he'd thrown it off the way, and a bit of a smile.
But he also threw his hands up in the air and said, I couldn't even win the toss for the last time.
Exactly. So a loss for Adam Simpson at the end as he begins to exit Perth Stadium now.
Chris, your thoughts on this one?
Well, I think we'll find out how much of a hole Jeremy McGovern's going to leave for West Coast. I mean, they've got some power forwards, Brisbane, and Tom Barrass can't play on all of them. It's a big job for young Harry Edwards to come in and play on an informed Hipwood or a Joe Danaher or someone like that. But as Shaz said before, their midfield's
so strong.
It's so strong, and if they keep getting it inside 50, eventually it's going to the toll's going to tell on the West Coast defence, I think.
And it was like Murray said in the pre-game, their ability to connect well inside their forward 50 is what's really strong. And I think McCluggage leads their inside 50s, and if he gets his hands on it from 70 out and is able to connect really efficiently, it's going to be a tough day for the defenders.
There is a little bit of weather about, not raining at the moment. 14.7 degrees as we're about to start. The benches for West Coast: True, Cole, Jack Williams and Marrick. Brockman the sub. For the Brisbane Lions: Lohman, Morris, McKenna, Fletcher and Reville the sub. Start of another era at the West Coast Eagles. After 242 games with Adam Simpson in charge, Jared Schofield is the interim coach today. It's the Eagles against the Lions. Wherever you join us, ABC Sport, here's Mitch Turner.
Bailey Williams and Oscar McInerney, the two rucks in the middle of the ground. Underway, Williams tapped it down. Kelly tried to burst through for the Eagles, was taken immediately in a tackle. There'll be a ball up, still inside the centre circle. Players gathering around. McCluggage, Dunkley, Neale, the midfielders in there for the Lions. McInerney comes through, big fist, punching it forward, straight to Jimby of the Eagles. He's wrapped up by Cameron, ball knocked free. Yo diving in, another reset here early on. The midfield for the Eagles: Kelly, Reid, Yo. Underneath Bailey Williams, the ball goes up again, tapped down by McInerney. Bounce eluded Berry. McCluggage couldn't get a handle on it. Jones came through for the Eagles. Eventually Wilmot was able to get it to Ashcroft. Now out to McCluggage. Wide up, further across to Joyce. On the wing, a little bit of space for Dunkley. Snaps into the path of Lachie Neale. Jones in a foot race, though, beats into it, the Eagles, and manages to tap the ball out of bounds and over the line below our commentary position for a boundary throw-in. So players will gather round for yet another stoppage. McInerney and Williams standing very deep.
Very busy at the stoppages at the moment, with a lot of numbers up around highly congested.
Both rucks got a hand to it. Came down to Jimmy for West Coast, then to Reid. You can hear the crowd cheer. He gets his first touch. Into the middle to Hutchinson. Handball back to Kelly. Back to Harley Reid. Handball over the top to Cripps. Runs to 50. Kicks on goal. Getting back, taking the mark. Is an outstretched diving Waterman. Terrific ball movement by the Eagles. Jake Waterman will go back from the tight angle and look to snap the Eagles first.
Great mark from the Snake, leading full tilt back towards goal, lunging, slips catch you'd call it. Great effort.
39 goals for the season, Jake Waterman. Looking to get the Eagles off to the perfect start. Waterman plays on, snaps around. That's the way to get started, West Coast. They get the first on the board. And after what has been a stressful and exhausting week for the club, that might just settle the nerves a little bit. Waterman gets the first goal. 1 straight 6, the Eagles. They lead the Lions, yet to score. 2 minutes played here. First term at Perth Stadium.
It started way back here at the clearance with Ruben Jimby, who got brought into that clearance by his forward opponent Rayner to try and put block on Lockie Neal, but it didn't fool Ruben. He just went and got the footy and then got it out, and from there Harley got onto it, and the ball movement was swift and quick and directly down the middle, Shaz.
Yeah, it's so congested. I think we're going to see both teams bringing numbers up and trying to get some congestion around the stoppage, but like you said, if they get it outside of that, it's going to be really open.
Happy looking Jeremy McGovern in the corporates. Behind him, Adam Simpson. It's Williams. Bailey J won the tap down. Going through was Neal, stole it away. Opportunity here for McCluggage for the Lions. Kicks Brisbane inside forward 50. Barris is up, got a spoil to it. Out after it, Cameron gathers it nicely. Hand pass forward to Danaher. Oh, Saltzman can. He got run down. Got a hand pass forward though to Cameron. And he kicks the goal. No.
Holding the ball call on the tackle.
Well, that's interesting. So holding the ball is the call. It was a great tackle from Jimby. I'm not sure if the tackle was completed enough. Let's have a look.
Yeah.
Well, you've got to have
was
an
it a throw?
opportunity.
Well, holding the ball was the call. It wasn't incorrect disposal, so
Surely you've got to have an opportunity to get rid of the football as you're tackled. I know they're making it faster.
That was very
That's
quick.
a goal for me.
ball back into play. The Eagles moving up the wing quickly, but the mark is taken. Well read. Clever work from Shadow Brain. The Lions, he goes short to Neal. Chip over the top to Ashcroft. What an impact he's already had since coming in off that knee injury. Former number 2, father-son pick. Kicks the ball inside, forward 50 for the Lions. Coming out to meet it was Danaher. Harry Edwards did well to get in front. Ball knocked down in front of McCluggage. Going in is Rayner. Trying to get away from Edwards. Did well to gather, spin, get it to Ashcroft. His tumbling kick inside the forward 50 is a bit beyond Zach Bailey and Tom Barris, and tumbles out of bounds for a boundary throw-in.
So I didn't see the umpire. The umpire has called holding the ball.
Yes, signalled holding the ball.
So it's not a throw. And so
There wasn't enough prior, was there?
None at all. Jimby has tackled him. Great tackle, but Danaher has got rid of the football. Hand passed on to Cameron. The Lions should be filthy about that decision as the Eagles hand pass their way out of stride. Hunt moves it again to Cripps and he stabs the pass forward. And Ryan Marks steps around his opponent. He'll pop it towards centre-half forward, running with the flight of the football, Kelly. He marks, again steps inside an opponent, sends it towards full forward. There's only Lions back there. Andrews mops it up and he'll move it short to Brain, who marks in the left-back pocket and then kicks to McCluggage beyond defensive 50 at left half-back. The Eagles, 1 straight 6. The Lions yet to score, 5.5 gone in the first.
McCluggage takes a couple of steps, kicks the ball up the wing, floating across for the Eagles was Edwards, couldn't mark, balls down the front to Bailey, did well to weave into traffic initially, had to loop a handball to Rayner, tap to Dunkley, his clearing kick was met by Yo well on the half volley, cleared, clean pick up and was able to spot Cripps, has a leading Ryan at half forward, the kick's a little high, able to gather it on the second attempt, umpire pays the mark. Ryan sees Cripps running forward, chips the ball to him, not 15, play on, calls the umpire, did a full 360, just tossed the ball away back towards Ryan beyond defensive 50 in the end. The umpire called play on. And the ball bobbling beyond Liam Duggan on the loose ball there.
Able to tell since Friday night football that the not 15 has been the call of the week.
Ball will be spun back in between wing and half forward for the Eagles. They still lead by 6 points. Comes down in front of Neil, gathers hard up against the boundary line, outside of the boot, kicks it up towards Hipwood, able to gather. Spins back onto his right boot this time, kicks it into the path of Cameron. 1-on-1 v Hoff inside the forward 50. Cameron went to ground. Hoff gets back first and cleverly taps it through for a rush behind. It's the Lions' first score of the day. One straight behind. They trail the Eagles 1 straight 6.
Well done by Hoff. As Cole on a bit of a run. Kick short to Hunt in the right back pocket for the Eagles. He'll send it in the direction of Bailey J. Williams, who's up and tries to mark. McInerney in front, won it down for the Lions. Good tackle then, Bailey J. Williams. He's wrapped up Andrews and he'll win holding the ball. He's got it on centre wing. He'll put it long. Thumping kick into the right forward pocket. 2-on-2 battle. Andrews got a fist to it. Ryan tapped it back towards Allen. Stealing it, McCluggage. Goes short with the kick, but can only find Duggan. Diving back, he takes the mark in line with the right hand behind post. Falling to ground, 49 out from goal.
Signs are good for West Coast here in this opening few minutes. They've got Brisbane on the back foot a bit.
They're showing some intensity around the contest, which is... it's going to go a long way in any game of football, isn't it?
Up against the best opening quarter team in the business in the Brisbane Lions. They've won 13 first terms this season. Here's Duggan on his way in. His kick swings right, misses right. Minor score. 1-1-7 the Eagles, 1 behind the Lions. 8 gone in the opening term. Sunday footy on ABC Sport. Here's Mitch Turner.
Zorko tasked with the kick-in duties. Comes wide to Fletcher. Jasper Fletcher marks it left half back. Kicks it up the wing. Looking for Danaher. 1-on-1 with Barris. Stood tall. Took the mark. Well, Barris has knocked the ball out of his hands after he's taken the mark, Danaher. Umpire said that's okay. Big forward gathers it. Shares it with Fletcher. Now kicks on his right boot towards half forward. Looking for Hipwood. Worked out of it by Harry Edwards, who takes the intercept mark. Big job today. Covering the missing Jeremy McGovern out with that rib and lung injury. Moves the ball back up the wing. Kicks to a pack. Floating across in front was Brain. Punched it down straight into the path of True for the Eagles. Handball across to Marek. His kick towards half forwards. Chopped off once again by Harris Andrews.
Andrews goes towards centre half back. Neil's able to gather it. Sweeps a hand pass forward. Now through Ashcroft. Runs just commentary side of the centre circles. Puts it inside forward 50. McInerney marks. 47 out from goal. Decides to play on by hand to Ashcroft. He'll have a shot at goal. He'll bring the Lions fans to their feet. Scores level after 9.5 minutes of the opening term. West Coast 1-1-7. Brisbane 1-1-7. Nice finish as well to Will Ashcroft, giving the Lions their first of the day.
Just a poor entry by Marriage from West Coast going forward, straight to Harris Andrews, and bang, straight back through the middle of the ground, and they hit the scoreboard. So
also just not enough checking on Ashcroft, who started the play off the back flank, linked up, and then got the handball received from McInerney.
5 touches and a goal already to Will Ashcroft, who played just 10 minutes in this opening term. What a star he is. I hate to say it for the Lions fans, but what could have been if he was in that grand final side last year? He adds a lot of class. Ball back in the middle. Williams climbs over the top of McInerney. Tapped it, though, straight into the path of Bailey. Kicks towards half forward. It lands on the boot of Harry Edwards. Ricochets out to Duggan. Able to feed the handball to Marek. Then in turn on to Barris. Short kick up the wing is a good one. Spotted the leading Elliot Yeo, who turns. Tries to spear a kick towards Williams. It's a horrible kick. Went straight into the path of Joyce of the Lions. Got it to Dunkley, then to Berry. Now on to Rayner. Couldn't take the handball. It missed him by a bit. Was able to shake the tackle. Graham Rayner runs to 55 on the left boot. Kicks towards Danaher. Can't mark. Ball spills down. Players dive in. And wrapped up at the bottom of that is Alex Withen. It'll be a ball up top of the square for the Lions.
we heard was playing for the Lions the last time they took on the West Coast Eagles in Perth back in 2017 at Subiaco. Danaher worked Barras out from underneath it, gathered, snapped and goal. What a show of strength. The big fella puts the Lions in front. Danaher with the second major for Brisbane this afternoon. 2-1-13 the Lions. The Eagles 1-1-7, 11 and a half gone in the first.
I guess we know why Tom's at fullback and not in the ruck.
Yeah, it was a bit of a strange one. You don't really see Tom Barrass do that too often, but maybe a different setup of what they're going for under the new...
Well, I don't know whether Bailey just couldn't get there or chose not to, but if you got your number one ruckman on the ground, he takes it everywhere just about, maybe apart from a couple of forward throw-ins, but he has to be involved there.
You see Harry Edwards is off the ground at the moment, down below our position, who's started quite well down back for the Eagles. So for the time being...
Actually making his way off the ground as well.
Yeah, we just spotted him going down the race. So we'll keep updated with that. Ball back in the middle. Williams had a fresh area in the ruck for the Eagles. Diving in is Duggan. Was able to knock it into the path of True. His kick towards half forward, looking for a target. It's tumbling on the deck. Players crashing again. Cripps overran it. Joyce was able to clear it. The Lions only as far as Cole, though. Spun out of traffic for West Coast. Got it to Jimby. Now he's kick inside the forward 50, looking for a target. Allen couldn't take the mark again. Little grubbering kick by the Lions. Couldn't quite clear congestion. Yo cut it off. Gave it to Duggan. Kick inside the forward 50. Cut off again by Brain. McKenna clears it for the Lions. Kicks up to the wing, and Hoff was able to get in front of Cameron and take the mark. And there's a bit going on between the two as well as he goes back to take his kick.
Harry Edwards off with a shoulder concern. Right shoulder's the problems for an early contest. The doctor was out to him earlier. We'll keep you updated across that. Kick inside forward 50. Brain was up, won it down, spilled to Duggan. Kicks towards Allen, who marks it right full forward for West Coast. Will be able to have a shot from no more than 25 out, but it's very tight in the right forward pocket.
Just forward Kraft there playing in front. Read it earliest, didn't he?
He read it really well off the boot, and they're hard to defend, those chaos kicks. You just got no idea which way they're going to go, and Brody Hoff's mark on Charlie Cameron was fantastic in the first place, and he's just letting him know it.
A little bit going on down below us.
Allen looks to curl it around with the right. He's ended up hitting the left-hand behind post, so out of bounds on the full. No change to that score. The Lions 2-1-13. The Eagles are 1-1-7. 14 gone in the first. The Giants are up by 15 points over the Tigers. 4 minutes to go in the third at the MCG.
Andrews kicked long down the wing, but Hunt was able to intercept for the Eagles. His kick up and under inside the forward 50. Ryan got his hands to it and held the mark. Liam Ryan jumping at the ball. This time, no shoulders underneath him, but extended the arms and took the mark. He'll go back. Set shot. The kick from about 45 metres out, the slightest of angles to the left.
It wasn't like he timed that perfectly. Kind of got it on the way down, didn't he? But still a really strong mark with lots of pressure coming off from all around him.
Game 100 today for Liam Ryan. Premiership player, an All-Australian. This time can't deliver for the Eagles. He misses to the right. Another minus score. 1-2-8 West Coast. 2-1-13 the Lions. 15 minutes gone in the first term.
So here come Brisbane. Kicking duties towards left half back. Fine mark down there by Fletcher. Originally from Wilmot. Fletcher will play on. Will kick towards the commentary wing. Coming up towards Danaher. Sport. The back came from Jack Williams and sees it out over the boundary line for a throw-in. 2-1-13 Brisbane. 1-2-8 the Eagles. 15 and a half gone in the first. It's got a bit darker as any specks of blue above us have disappeared. Throwing back in. Danaher got the touch, came down to McCluggage. Wobbles a kick inside forward 50. Front position, Hipwood couldn't mark. Hunt's there to mop up, gave it to Witherden. Clever little chip over the pack that he was with. Got its way to Jack Williams. He can't mark, but he can play on quickly to a 2-on-2 at right half forward. Strong play here. Brain's able to get a kick away to left half forward. Taken it there by Hipwood. Gave it to McCluggage again for the Lions. He's able to spin in a circle and then kicks towards centre half forward. That's nicely worked. Here's Morris. Lions stream forward. The Eagles surge backwards. Morris will kick inside forward 50 to the right forward pocket. They fly from everywhere as the rain comes down. Marrick content to chase it with Bailey right with him towards the boundary line. It's over for a throw-in. Lions by 5 points, 16.5 gone in the first.
Ball deep inside, the Lions attacking 50. The Eagles have had a couple of chances, weren't able to put it on the board in the last few minutes from the restart. Danaher took it away from the ruck. His kick was smothered, fell to Barris, then to the former line and with it and now to Hoff. His kick exiting the 50 is a good one, finds Jones on the lead, has Cripps running hard up the line, as he often does, takes the mark, wheels and goes immediately, sets a task for Waterman, 2-on-1, never stood a chance as Andrews comes across in trademark fashion, just punches the ball into the signage. There'll be a ball up just outside the forward 50 for the Eagles. You see shots of Adam Simpson watching on the big screen, standing alongside Justin Langer, former Australian cricketer and cricket coach and now board member at the Eagles. Ball tossed back in. Williams couldn't take it for the Eagles. True's kick was a grubber on the ground. Neal, he was dispossessed. Ball comes out to McCluggage. Gets a little bit of space. Handballs inside to Fletcher. His handball over the top was looking for Bailey. Missed the target, but a free kick has been paid. An advantage taken. Hipwood can't take the mark. Punched away by Witherden.
Nicely worked. Got it on towards Marrick and then to Duggan. Hand pass forward back to Witherden. Comes to True. Couldn't take it against Zorko. Was able to win the ball to the ground though. Going in Berry. Gets it. Hands it off to Dunkley. Kicks the Lions into the right forward pocket. 1-on-1 here. Cameron did well. Worked out Hoff underneath it. Couldn't get it a second time. Hoff went back, gathered. Got it for Hunt for the Eagles, and he moves it towards left half back where Marrick marks. Lions still by 5 points. 18 gone in the first. Sunday footy on ABC Sport, ABC Radio, Sport Digital, and on the ABC Listen app.
Every effort so far today applauded by the West Coast fans. The kick goes up the wing, and once again Andrews judges it best, takes the mark, kicks across the back edge of the centre square. Too hot for Fletcher, has Ryan for company, had to tap it back to its teammate who found Zorko. It was Brain who hit the target. Had to be perfect in the middle of the ground to the former skipper and was. Zorko's kick over the top finds McCluggage. Right on the edge of the centre square. Now kicks it inside the forward 50, looking for Hipwood, trying to take the mark, couldn't. Spilt to ground level, Barris over the top. Ends up with Witherden, doesn't know what to do with it. He's standing on the boundary line, waiting for pressure. Just stood there hoping for a line to tackle him out of bounds, and they just watched him go. Had no idea what to do. Maybe they forgot which team they're playing on. Eventually it's knocked out of bounds for a boundary throw-in inside the Lions attacking 50.
Thrown in again. Oh, Danaher too strong for Jack Williams. Bounce back to Williams. He got dispossessed. Oh, big bump Duggan into the side of Cameron. Solid play. McCluggage ends up with it, tackled immediately. Yo got him one way, Kelly the other. Ball up inside the Lions forward 50.
He's very dangerous, Jay Danaher, at these ruck clearances. He's looking like he's going to score again.
Throwing up. Williams does well to hold his ground this time. Danaher won it down. Neal got a hand pass out. Bailey couldn't get there. Cole off the deck. Clever hand pass between two lines to Duggan. Tried to get it off to Cripps. Intercepted though by McCluggage. Shoveled a hand pass forward to left half forward. Hoff couldn't pick it up. Oh, Rayner could. Gathered it beautifully. Kicks towards goal. He's going to miss the lot. Cannons in to the right hand behind post. Free kick to the Eagles at left full back. That score remains Brisbane 2-1-13. The Eagles 1-2-8 into time on in the opening term. Clint Wilden alongside Mitch Turner in commentary. Our experts Sharad Wellingham and Chris Waterman on ABC Sport.
The intensity has definitely been up, but the West Coast boys are almost looking a bit gassed at the moment towards the back end of this quarter.
The Eagles switch the ball across the defensive 50. Jimby has it. Crowd screaming to get it to a free read on the wing. He jumps up high, went over the top of Fletcher. Couldn't take the mark. Luke Edwards runs onto the ball, takes the bounce. Now looking for a target, goes short to Jermaine Jones. What does he do with it now? He's 65 from home. Wheels around onto his left boot, kicks it up, looking for Waterman over the top. Can't mark, spills to Jack Williams, outside of the boot, Carruthers it through. He's been looking for an opportunity, Jack Williams. He's been given one this week. And he makes the most of it. He kicks the Eagles second, and they're back in front. 2-2-14 West Coast. 2-1-13 the Lions. 21 minutes played. First term at Perth Stadium. Mitch Turner here alongside Clint Wheeldon. In the box with us, Sharad Wallingham and Chris Waterman.
It was a good goal, and they moved the ball quick and got it in there, and there was space to run into, and they needed one because they'd had 3 previous shots from Duggo, Oscar and Liam, and only scored 2 points. They could have been 3 or 4 goals in front here, but they're not. But still, the intensity's right up today, Shaz, and you're keeping Brisbane on their toes.
I like the lowering of the eyes from Edwards for that hit up for Jones, and then he just went to a really dangerous spot, didn't he, for Waterman?
Harry Edwards, the other Edwards, back on the ground now as well after the shoulder concern. Restart. The Lions look to take it away. It's been held in. Good tackling coming from True and Kelly. Ball up again. McInerney came off his back. Ball hits the deck. McCluggage can't gather. Reid decides not to pick it up. It's been held into him. Well, that's going against him. That was interesting. I thought he made the decision not to because he knew he would get tackled, and it's been picked up and given into him.
He didn't grab it. Dunkley actually grabbed it and pulled it to him.
That's clever from Dunkley because you know that if you're not on your feet, you can't pick it up. But the umpire's been, well, he's been sold one there. Well done to the Lions. Clever stuff. Wilmot kicks deep inside forward 50. Danaher got 2 hands to it. Couldn't mark. Out the back. Marek has it. He's been tackled by Hipwood. Ball up the call. There was a deliberate decision from Reid. He's gone, I'm not picking this up.
But Dunkley's gone around him, grabbed the ball and brought it into him.
Well done. Umpires will have to be alert to that in the future. Whoop. As Witherden soccers it off the ground and heads towards the boundary line. This will be deliberate.
Yeah.
And we've heard time and time again, if you ever join us for Margets on Monday on extra time, 7 o'clock, ABC Perth, that if you soccer it off the ground, they will deem it, unless it stays in, insufficient intent.
And Jones nearly got a fingertip to that, but it doesn't matter.
So here's Bailey with the free kick for the Lions, kicking towards full forward. Barris at the back, went up. Morris soccers it forward. Danaher can't gather, and then it's scooped up by Edwards, and the Harry version of Edwards, and taken across the behind line for a rush behind. Scores level, 2-2-14 apiece, 23 gone in the first term. At the MCG, the Giants lead the Tigers by 19 points halfway through the third.
You know, there's been an apparent crackdown on the 15-metre kicking this week. I think the insufficient intent the last 2 weeks, they've cracked down. If there's a player there, they don't really care anymore. It's where the ball heads in the first place. Yep. Ball won back by the Lions from the kick in on the wing. Neil, clever, just wheeled around, was able to hit up a leading Hipwood, who turns immediately and spots Danaher in space. Got away from Harry Edwards, led up and took it on the chest. Will go back from a tight angle to the left. Kick from about 45 metres out.
Super effective, Neil, with that changing of the angles. But also, you mentioned Danaher's ruck contest. I think he's looking strong in every contest. There's been a couple of marking opportunities where he hasn't taken it, but he's looked extremely strong in the contest.
Not always the most reliable part of Joe Danaher's game, and on this occasion it fails him again. Misses to the right. So a minus score for the Lions. 2-3-15. It gives them the lead. West Coast 2-2-14. 25 minutes played.
Witherden decides to go towards left half back. Ryan was able to get in front of McKenna, and he takes the mark. Just beyond his defensive 50. 100 games for him today. That's not a great kick. Stayed very flat. He's there for the Lions, who will rebound through the hands of Zorko, and then Bailey from right half forward. Kicking in the direction of Archie. Going up was Jinby. Spilled down to Loman, though. The Lions snaps. That was almost a terrific goal. Danaher, meantime, was asking for it in the goal square. But it's missed. A minor score. Brisbane by 2. 25 and a half gone in the first.
Yo takes the marker post. McCluggage from the kick in. Chips it across towards Cole. Kicked in, gets him on the full on the defensive 50. Had to gather. Did well. And was able to find the switch kick to Ryan. Has Jinby. Running past, now Marek on the far side of the wing. Kicks it up towards half-forward, looking for a marking target. In Cripps, he was infringed upon by Ryan Lester out there. Two veterans going head-to-head. Cripps will win the free kick. He'll wheel around. Kick from about 52 metres out long to the goal line. Pack flies. he kick the goal? Yes! Cripps from long range. Wheeled around and went bang. The Eagles get their third. They're back in front again. Another lead change early. 3-2-20 the Eagles. 2-4-16 the Lions. 26 and a half played first term here. Perth Stadium AFL Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
You reckon he was going for goals then?
He's going to take it no matter what.
It was a beautiful kick if he meant it. It was a long way out. And he's absolutely punched it. I thought it was one of those kicks that he kind of putting up to the top of the goal square, but it's just absolutely sailed through. Cripps' work rate today is absolutely standing out. He's getting out into space and providing options as that really damaging link player. Working really well through the wings and half forward.
And he's had 6 for a small forward, so that's a good effort. It tells you he's working really hard.
The restart. McInerney stayed down and was able to get clean possession. Kicks towards Cameron, who marks attacking edge of the centre square for the Lions. And there's a 50 metres here, which will bring Cameron right up towards the top of the goal square.
Well, Harley Reid's ran past, but it's off the back of Dunkley. Once again, being very smart, he changed the angle that he was running on, kind of with Harley Reid running blind.
So here's Cameron from the top of the goal square. The Lions back in front. 28 minutes gone in the first. Off that 50-metre free kick. 3-4-22 Brisbane. 3-2-20 the West Coast Eagles. That's our third lead change of the afternoon. Now, Waterman has gone down into the rooms. We'll get an update for you when we can. Not sure on that at the moment.
Oh, that's just
so watching
stupid,
the replay.
Very strange.
Brain fade by Harley there.
He's run past almost asking for the footy.
Yeah.
And was inside the protected area, so that's the reason for the free kick.
Was Harley doing the old
Give it to me. Give it to old Stevie
joke
Johnson.
To the old, to the opposition, try and trick them.
I think he was.
Which is in the protected area.
I used to always do that, but then I didn't play with the protected area.
It is now 50 metres, and rightfully so, as McInerney takes out the ruck, kicks it straight inside the forward 50 and straight onto the chest of Eric Hipwood, who for a moment thought about going short into the pocket to Lowman, but now goes back. He'll kick from just inside the 50, almost directly in front, to give the Lions 2 quick goals. See the Eagles coaches out of the box already. Early.
Oscar McInerney has just dominated the last 2 centre clearances.
Eric Hipwood starts his approach from well inside the centre square, hits the ball from just inside the 50 and sends it into the cheer squad behind the goals. Hipwood gets his first. The Lions get their fourth. They extend their lead out to 8 points. 4-4-28 Brisbane, 3-2-20 West Coast, as we edge closer to the quarter-time break.
Probably more confident at that distance, isn't he, Hipwood, than 25 metres out directly in front. Gets to put some purchase on the kick and kicks probably with a better technique. That's probably 2 or 3 now where it's been a mark off a clearance from centre square, hasn't it? Need to make sure that they're getting some more pressure on the Brisbane Lions players, otherwise it's going to get all too easy for the midfield.
Jake Waterman back from the rooms. He's back on the bench for the Eagles as Yo tries to bring it away from the restart for West Coast. Got it to Kelly. Slung as he kicked it, went up and down in the air. Chance for Berry to emerge with it. Hand passed into space. McInerney looks to slap it forward. Worked out okay to Danaher. Got the arms free and gave it to Rayner at centre half forward. Heads into the right forward pocket. Cameron's got Hoff right with him. Cameron takes the ball over the boundary line and into the photographer's kit in the right forward pocket.
Good contest developing today between Hoff and Cameron.
Throw in here about 25, maybe 30 out from Brisbane's attacking goal. 4-4-28 the Lions, 3-2-20 the West Coast Eagles. Gone past the half an hour mark. Thrown in. Ali J tapped it straight down to Neil, who couldn't believe his luck. Gave it back to McCluggage. His hand pass hit the deck. Neil got a hand pass shoveled forward. Witherden, strong tackle. Wrapped up a line who had nowhere to go. Off the deck, it's been thrown up in the air. Umpire will start things again. Strong play again from Dunkley. McInerney slapped it forward, two-handed. McCluggage under pressure from Hunt. Goes to the ground. Ball still there to be picked up. Duggan looks to work it over the boundary line. It's going to be a ball in. Thrown in the right forward pocket. Never quite sure at times. 8 points the Lions lead. Nearly 32 gone in the first.
Slav, you get away with those. Liam Duggan just picks it up and almost just did the dive over the line under pressure. We have seen them pin, though, in recent weeks. Ball tossed back in. McInerney got a hand to it. Coming through was Cameron. His kick on goal was skewed well across the face. There'll be no score, no change to the score to finish the quarter as the siren goes. 4-4-28. Brisbane 3-2-20. The Eagles, an 8-point margin the way of the visitors.
So having a look at the goal kickers for Brisbane, Danaher, Ashcroft, Cameron and Hipwood. While for the West Coast Eagles, it's Waterman, Cripps and Jack Williams. Earlier today, Gold Coast by 14 points over Port Adelaide. They keep their unbeaten home record intact, the Suns, in the game that's still underway late in the third term at the MCG. The Giants up by 24, 13-4-82 to Richmond's 8-10-58. And here at Perth Stadium, Brisbane continue to impress in opening terms. Their 14th win of the season so far in first quarters. They lead West Coast by 8 points, 4-4-28 to the Eagles, 3-2-20. Let's pause here in the West and get the latest from the ABC Newsroom.
ABC News with Sally Ann Young. The Pennsylvania State Police say it's too early to tell whether a fatal shooting at a Donald Trump election rally in Pennsylvania was a lone wolf attack. The former US president has now arrived in New Jersey after being injured in the ear on stage, while one attendee was killed as well as the shooter and 2 others wounded. The FBI has identified 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks as the subject involved in the attempted assassination. US President Joe Biden has addressed the nation to condemn the apparent assassination attempt on Donald Trump, with Mr Biden saying political violence cannot be tolerated. Back home, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese says Australian agencies will examine the security of politicians in light of the recent event, but he's confident there are appropriate measures in place ahead of the next federal election. The New South Wales Minister for Housing says a $1 billion maintenance blitz on rundown social homes from this month is a critical step in alleviating the housing crisis. The money was allocated in last month's budget to carry out maintenance on 30,000 public homes. And Bunnings has been forced to change how it sells lead products in its stores around the country after concerns were raised of customers and workers being exposed to the material. Work safety authorities in at least 3 states have been notified after potentially hazardous dust was found around shelves where the products were kept in South Australia. You're up to date with the latest from ABC News.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the 2024 AFL season. Every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Into the middle to Hutchinson. Handball back to Kelly. Back to Harley Reid. Handball over the top to Cripps. Runs to 50. Kicks on goal. Getting back. Taking the mark. Is an outstretched diving Waterman. Terrific ball movement by the Eagles. Jake Waterman going back from the tight angle and look to snap the Eagles first. 39 goals for the season, Jake Waterman looking to get the Eagles off to the perfect start. Waterman plays on, snaps around. That's the way to get started, West Coast. They get the first on the board. And after what has been a stressful and exhausting week for the club, that might just settle the nerves a little bit.
The 2024 AFL Premiership season.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
So the Eagles got the start they desperately crave, but it's Brisbane who lead at quarter time, 4-4-28 to West Coast, 3-2-20. Let's get the thoughts of our experts. One of them's disappeared, Sharad Willingham. Where's he gone?
Sharad Waterman.
I think
Sharad Waterman.
I think Sharad may have thought we're playing the 5-minute news that we obviously take at half-time.
No. Oh, well, it's been that sort of a day. Buddy, what have you made of things?
Well, they're getting dominated clearances, 15-4. The Big O's too tall for Bailey Williams. Bailey needs to just change the angles or get physical with him. Also, on top of that, in their forward 50, Joe Danaher looks awfully dangerous at clearances. Pardon me, around the ground, it's not much in it. I think they just need to get the ball quicker through the midfield of West Coast, and when they do that, they look really dangerous up forward.
Do you need to throw at Lozenge too? We've had to take a cash off air today because his voice is at the point where you just can't understand him.
He is providing updates for us. I don't think we have eyes.
No.
Our eyes aren't that good.
Doing a great job
Those
downstairs.
updates downstairs are still coming from a cache. It's just not verbally.
They're coming in Morse code.
Text messages are a wonderful invention. But struggling a bit today. We'll say he's had a big night out. I don't think he has, but yeah.
No, I don't think he has. I think it's a raspy throat.
A raspy throat, yeah.
Just on top of that, you got McCluggage with 11 and Neil with 10 through the midfield. That's where it's damaging. Neil's running at 100%, McCluggage at 83% of their 21 positions through the midfield. For West Coast, Witherden, Hunt and Duggan. Although Duggo is on ball, but Witherden, Hunt. Backman. So it tells you a little bit about what's going on. 11 to 18 inside 50. So just got to get a bit more ascendancy through the midfield. Shaz did bring that up at the start of the game, that the midfield is where they look really dominant, and that's how it's playing out.
He was Sharad Waterman too. He's brought a water back. Where were you? Where'd you vanish to?
I said, did anyone want a water?
No.
I was just wanting the camera to stay on the Adam Simpson box we're seeing on the screen here, because I was just waiting to see Sharad Wellingham's head pop up in the back of the nice corporate box that Adam Simpson's
pop in there for a frothy with the boys.
Of course not. Some of the numbers quickly, the other numbers before we get back. The inside 50 count is 18 to 11 the way of the Lions. The clearance count 15 to 4 the way of the Lions. Individually, as mentioned, Witherden with 8 for the Eagles, 7 for Hunt. Duggan, Ginby, Cripps, Marek with 6 for the Lions. McCluggage has 11. Neil has 10. Wilmot has 8.
So the Lions on the live ladder are back in the 8. They're up into 4th as we speak. They lead by 8 points. Second term about to get underway. It's thrown aloft. Both rucks had a tap, McInerney and Williams. Eagles looked to bring it away. Yo got tackled by Neil, got the arms free. Reid couldn't take it. Lohman jumped up, did. Got it for Brisbane. Hand pass to McInerney. Runs past the centre circles and then kicks inside forward 50. Good battle here. Hoff got in front of Cameron, brought it to ground. Fletcher came from the other side. Cameron attacks the football. Duggan stood up to him. It's been held in. Ball up in the right forward pocket for Brisbane.
And he's hurt him too.
He's in big trouble here. Teammates immediately waved to the bench for Liam Duggan.
His leg has been caught underneath
his head.
His head is smashed into the ground. He stood there. Cameron attacked him and the football legally, knocked them backwards. But
he had a bad concussion earlier in the year ago.
About a month ago, may have been, at this ground.
Fair tackle from Cameron, but as he's come down on top of him, his head's gone onto the deck with Cameron's head almost in his jaw.
it is the sort of tackle that you'd expect to see on Wednesday night.
Yeah, it was an NRL-style tackle,
from a son in Charlie Cameron who grew up playing a lot of rugby league.
Yeah,
nothing untoward from Cameron. It was a fair tackle. No tackle. Sling, no nothing that they're trying to drive out of the game, but just really unfortunate for Liam.
So Liam heads to the bench as we get a restart with the ball thrown up into the air. McInerney palmed it down in the right forward pocket for the Lions. Dunkley couldn't gather. Reid emerges with it. Hand pass to Kelly, straight to Yo. Got a hand pass out cleverly to Reid. Took on the tackle, tried to shovel it forward. Lohman stole it away from Cripps. There's still a little bit of afters on between Zorko and Reid as the Lions send it inside forward 50. Good mark to Harry Edwards. Still that blue goes on off the ball. You know that Zorko doesn't mind a little bit of afters, and neither does Harley Reid as Marek kicks down the outer wing. Just shy of the wing. It's taken by Witherden.
I knew as soon as Harley Reid ran through him that was going to pop off then.
Ball chip further up the wing. Now to Hoff. Dane Zorko not opposed to having a bit of a push and shove.
It was another Wednesday night style of run as well from Harley Reid, who kind of just looked at him and said, I'm going to try and run straight through you.
It was a genuine hit up. This time Hunt kicks it inside the forward 50 for the Eagles. Flying from behind was Bailey Williams. Couldn't take the mark. The Lions able to clear it from half back. Neil to Ashcroft. Short little kick up the wing into the hands of Morris, taking the ground immediately, handballs it out in front of McCluggage, and the boundary line beats him to it.
West Coast got that break out the far side to Alex Witherden, and he marked it and stopped the whole play. You've got to be able to take that game on and just keep going, regardless of what's ahead of you.
It was a genuine hit-up from the restart by Harley Reid into Dane Zorko, who, to his credit, stood up fairly well in the contest. Ball back in from the throw-in. Reid went without it. Was tackled. The tackle lingered. And it's holding the ball, I think.
Nah, it was holding the man.
It is holding the man. So Oscar McInerney just held Reid a little longer. Just the two touches in the first quarter for Harley Reid. This will be his third for the second quarter. Now up to 5. He steps around McInerney in the ruck, and McInerney caught him, but he legged him. Reid runs away, still gets the kick away, kicks it inside the forward 50. Flying through the air was Marrick, couldn't take the mark. Out the back, McKenna of the Lions kicks it beyond defensive 50 again. Ryan flies high, can't take it. The ball spills to Neal and he steps it over the line. Their boundary throwing just outside the Eagles attacking 50. They trail the Lions by 8. 4 minutes played in the second term.
Liam Duggan's headed straight to the rooms. After that tackle from Cameron that saw Duggan's head hit the ground. McInerney won it down against Bailey J. Hits the deck. Umpire says we'll ball it up. Ashcroft tried to work his way through traffic. Cripps got him.
I thought McInerney was going to produce the highlight of taking down Reid. He just let the tackle slip.
Bailey J. Williams wins the tap out in the direction of True. He's locked up. Can't come out of there. Good tackle again from Ashcroft.
Brisbane doing a really good job at shutting down first possession. West Coast getting their hands on it and just not getting any reward.
McInerney this time wins it down straight to Ashcroft and can't get away from Cripps. It's been locked in here. Right half forward for the West Coast Eagles. We'll try again. Both rucks have a touch. McCluggage couldn't gather. Kelly elects to soccer off the ground. McKenna tried to tap it to his own advantage. Jermaine Jones was there to Marrick to Waterman. He lost it. Goes and gathers it again. Was able to work it out to Cripps. He dropped it, picked it up. Gave it to Hoff. They're back at left half forward West Coast. Now in the hands of Ginby. Kicks long inside forward 50. Spoil from Andrews.
Oh.
Attack the football, and he has sent that about 15 rows back into Perth Stadium. That is some punch of the football. Throwing deep in the left forward pocket for West Coast, who trail by 8 points. 5.5 gone in the second.
The boundary umpire retrieves the ball from row 15. Now stands there, toes on the line, tosses it back over his shoulder. Williams got to the front, tapped it to Cripps. He went without it though, then True is tackled immediately. Oh, dashing through was Cripps, just couldn't gather the ball. It'll be tossed up again. Williams v McInerney. Williams again tapped it down. Kelly onto the loose ball. Couldn't gather initially, then was tackled by Fletcher. Somehow got a boot to it. Cripps knocks it to his advantage right on the forward 50 junction. Gets a little help from Neal with a little apology and a little tap on the hand as the ball goes out of bounds. So it'll be another stoppage, this time just outside the Eagles forward zone. McInerney and Williams jostle for position again. Williams got to the front. Ball tapped straight into the path of Neal. He's tackled by Yo immediately. We'll have another stoppage this time just below our commentary position here on the wing. Just a metre in from the boundary. The Lions still lead by 8.
3-quarter time at the MCG. Giants 14-5-89. Richmond 8-10-58. He's almost kicking in danger. Williams able to pick it up. Got it on to True. Shoveled out the back. It came to Fletcher for the Lions. He'll kick towards the logo. Commentary sign. Harry Edwards should have taken that mark. It spills to ground. Hoff couldn't gather. Lohman could. Gave it to Williams. Ducked the Hoff tackle. The shovel a hand pass forward. Umpire says it's okay. Getting in the way was Hunt. Gave it to Luke Edwards for the Eagles. Kick into the left forward pocket. Waterman couldn't mark. Still there to be won. Wilmot tapped it between his legs. Ryan went to ground and then shoveled forward by Joyce in the path of Fletcher. He's bumped over the boundary line for a throw-in. Right where the 50-metre arc meets the boundary left half forward for the Eagles. They trail by 8 points. 7.5 gone in the second term.
Williams and McInerney again. This time McInerney got to the front, tapped it straight to Yo, tried to bullock through, was dispossessed, spills to Liam Ryan, tumbling ball towards the top of the square. Allen can't gather under pressure from Andrews. Now he's on top of it, tries to tap it clear. Andrews drags it back in. This time the umpire not fooled will toss the ball up. 30 metres out from the Eagles' goal. McInerney taps it down into the path of McCluggage, just sinks the slipper into the boot, kicks it out towards the wing. Foot race on again between Hoff and Cameron. Hoff gets there first, tries to dance away from the forward from the lines, does so well. Arched the back, got away, kicks it towards half forward. Yo can't take it, coming through and met solidly was Leicester. Yo collects the ball, knocks it out of bounds for yet another boundary throw in just outside the Eagles' attacking 50.
Cluggage has had it 13 times. Neal 12 off of the Eagles. Witherden and Hunt both with 9 apiece. Bursting through the middle comes to Ashcroft. He's got to get it back as well. True tackles him. That'll be holding the ball. Great tackle from Zane True. Ashcroft left with nowhere to go. True just forward of the logo. Southern wing. And he finds Yo, who marks 50 from goal. 45-degree angle to the right.
This is in his wheelhouse.
Yeah, I was about to say, I reckon he's got this.
I didn't want to put it that way.
He immediately told two teammates, I've got this. He did. Put the hand up. No. I know what I'm doing here. Elliot Yo, 8-9 for the season. Twice a best and fairest winner with West Coast. From 51 metres out, the crowd knows it. Even before it had got to the goals, they rise. And Eagles come from everywhere just to give Elliot Yo a pat on the head and a hug. Been some tough times for him of late with the passing of his father. Back in the team, and he gets his name on the goal kickers list. Elliot Yo signing on to be an Eagle for life. And he puts West Coast back within 2 points. 4-4-28 Brisbane, 4-2-26 the Eagles. 10 gone in the second term. Tyler Brockman has taken the warm-up shirt off. He's going to come into the game for the Eagles. Duggan, I guess we have to suggest he's going to be out of the game with concussion after his head hit the ground from the Charlie Cameron tackle. So Brisbane 4-4-28, West Coast 4-2-26.
Ball back in the middle. Jack Williams in the ruck, beaten convincingly by McInerney. Took it out of the contest, kicked it forward, ricocheted off the hands of Archie. Comes to Morris, handballs it to Danaher, tucked up against the boundary line. He threw the boot on ball and it's smothered by Edwards of the Eagles. So Liam Duggan will be the one who'll come from the ground, from the game for the Eagles. Didn't seem to be anything untoward, according to our experts here in the box, from the tackle. Williams from the restart, took it out of the ruck, missed the ball. Ashcroft came through. He was tackled by Marrick, held it a long time. Umpire called play on. Hunt onto it for the Eagles, shares it with Cole. The defender kicks it out towards the wing. Andrews and Allen both throw a fist at it back towards Ashcroft. Overruns it now. Dunkley on hands and knees, fighting for it between wing and half forward for the Lions. Unable to get it clear.
You've just seen that bit of play. They don't want to be the first one to grab the ball because they're just so hot on the whistle.
McInerney takes it out of the ruck again, handballs it to space. Luke Edwards the first one there for the Eagles. Handball back to Hunt, snap around the body, back towards the ruckman in McInerney. Little clever underground handball to Rayner, put on the Jets, kicks it inside the forward 50. Archie can't mark. Punched away by the Eagles defenders. Ball comes loose to Cameron, trying to gather hard up against the boundary line. Wasn't able to. Ball will be tossed back in. 35 metres around from the Lions' goal. They still lead by 2 points. 12 minutes played in the second term.
Ball spun back in. McInerney versus Jack Williams. One down by McInerney. Jinby was there though. Got it to Hunt. Tackled immediately by Dunkley, who then follows it up and has a little ping at goal. Soccer-wise, misses the target. Runs across the face of goal. Danaher can't keep it in. It's out for a boundary throwing. Obviously hasn't been watching the Euros. Or enough of the Euros.
Or has been watching too much of England.
Don't be like that. They're in the final, and you'll hear that on Sport Digital tomorrow morning. From the restart, it comes down to Kelly. Gets it back to Luke Edwards for the West Coast Eagles. Kicks beyond defensive 50. Good fly, a decent mark to Brain. Kick back into the middle of the ground. Able to find McKenna, takes 2 steps and then spears it up the corridor. Barris flies down again towards Dunkley. Came off the back of Archie, had a second go at it, and he kicks it through. That's one of the more remarkable goals that you're likely to see. High fives all around for Josh Dunkley, who's done some crafty things today. And that's a combination of forward craft and good luck. How on earth? He gathered it, kicked it into the back of Archie. It sat for him, swung the right boot at it. Great goal. 5-4-34 to 4-2-26. The Lions over the Eagles.
Tommy's a little bit unlucky not to get a free kick, I thought, but Luke Edwards' kick out of the D50 was just poor. It had to go to the boundary side and went straight to Brisbane, straight back in, and they kick a goal. Could be take a little bit more care with your disposal there.
Thoughts on the missed free kick?
I thought it was a clear, either a high or even dragging across the arms.
They've been really good, West Coast. They're just playing desperate football to start this quarter.
Josh Dunkley has been watching the Euros. Finished off the deck, ball back in the middle. Dunkley involved again. Got it to Neil, kick towards half forward into the path of Hipwood. Out to Mead, trying to tap it over his head, missed it completely. Witherden got onto it and tackled immediately by Bailey, slammed to the turf. Ball spilled free to Hunt, who couldn't keep it in. Alex Witherden, the last time the Lions played in Perth, 2017 at Subiaco against West Coast, that is, had 28 disposals for the Lions. Leicester and Harris Andrews, the only other 2 Lions that were here on that day in Perth. They kick it up the wing this time. Ball from Archie goes towards Andrews and Allen. Allen tackling Leicester. The handball comes out to McCluggage, who is met by the sub in Brockman. Knocks him over the boundary line for a boundary throw-in. So Brockman into the game for Liam Duggan, who slammed his head into the turf. Bruce revealed the sub for Brisbane unused so far.
And confirmation that Duggan has been subbed out with concussion, so he'll miss next week against St Kilda at the Docklands for West Coast. Berry brings it away from the restart, gave it to Danaher. Thumping kick deep inside forward 50. Harry Edwards went to ground. He was appealing for a free kick for being held. He'll get it too. The umpire was good 40 metres away. Eventually paid it. Edwards glances into the corridor, then kicks towards the commentary wing. Coming towards it, Andrews got a fist to it, spilled down to Yo, tackled by Leicester straight away. Berry also adding support for the Lions. Ball up, northern wing. Win for the other Queensland team earlier today by 14 points over Port Adelaide. As the restart doesn't see the ball go anywhere in particular, and it's been wrapped up straight away once again from Jack Williams, who kicked a goal earlier today. He's doing the ruck work, doesn't really get a touch on it. Spilled down to Dunkley, shoveled the hand pass forward. Archie attacked the football, spilled out the side. There's a free kick going the way of the Lions for a push into the back. It's going to be taken quickly by Dunkley, who then gets forced to pause for a moment. Just forward of the logo, kicks into the right forward pocket. Big pack up, spills down. Here is Williams, gathering, goes back by hand. Cole ran straight into Rayner, dropped the footy. That's holding the ball. Free kick for the Lions in the right forward pocket.
Just tried to do a little bit too much there. Tommy Cole was, as the
Rayner just pops it short to Lohman, who's a lot closer, but the angle's a lot tighter. So he marked it about 25 from goal, but he'll start beyond the boundary in the right forward pocket. In the meantime, the Giants put their lead out to 32 points. 10 minutes gone into the last against the Tigers at the MCG. There's not much space to look at for Lohman. He's a right footer in the right forward pocket. It'll have to be precise. He misses right. Minor score, 5-5-35 the Lions, 4-2-26 the Eagles, 17 gone in the second.
You mentioned it before, Sharry's had a really good year, Kyle Lohman, especially in the absence of Lincoln McCarthy, who went down in that, devastation game. That was the Q clash early in the year. But filled the role well has Lohman. Kick comes to the wing, big pack flew, somehow getting boots of ball was the crafty McKenna, snapped it over his shoulder, it was cut off by Hunt for the Eagles. He in turn chips it up the wing. is able to find Jack Williams, wants to move it quickly, has Luke Edwards backing back over the top. Handballs to the run, coming past in Hunt. Tumbles the ball inside the forward 50. Cripps can't mark. Brockman, clever tap to Allen. Handball onto Hutchinson. Can he kick the goal? Can he kick it? Yes, he can. Jack Hutchinson gets his first goal in AFL footy. The mid-season draft pick had a tough angle to work with. They needed a goal and he stood up. Well done, Jack Hutchinson. What a moment to remember. He kicks the Eagles' fifth. He cuts the margin back to 3. 5-2-32. That is West Coast. Brisbane 5-5-35. 18.5 played. Mitch Turner here alongside Clint Wheeldon, our experts, Sharad Wellingham and Chris Waterman. First goal's always a nice one.
Well, just make it harder. Why don't we just check side it?
It was a very odd ball drop. Strange ball drop, but it went straight through the middle. Great feeling, kicking your first goal in AFL football mid-season, as you said. He's come in and made an impact, hasn't he? Last week, I think he had 10 tackles.
Most of them inside the forward 50.
Yeah, great to be able to come in, hold down a position and contribute.
One of the players Eagles fans will want to see more of. Final weeks of the season. The restart, the Lions will get it away through Neal. Clearance towards right half forward. Hoff's onto it up against Cameron. They send it soccer-wise towards the boundary line. That'll be a throw-in. Pressure was there on both players. They didn't gather. 3 points the difference. West Coast have been competitive against a side that has been in red-hot form. The Lions have won their past 5. The Eagles have lost their past 6. But it's just a 3-point difference at the moment. As we approach time on in the second. Only J. Williams in front. Won it down. There's Hutchinson. Shovels a hand pass forward. Neal gets to it. Throws it on the boot. Hard up against the boundary line and puts it out of bounds on the full. Free kick to West Coast. Deep in the left back pocket. Hoff to take it. The left shoulder strapped. Steps inboard. And then kicks towards the commentary wing. 2-on-2 battle. Bailey J. Williams is up to mark. 50. And that should have been 50, you would think, because Ashcroft made no effort to get out of his way. Instead, the umpire does let them play on. Bailey J. does just that, kicking towards left half forward. Group of 5 up, off hands, comes down to Reed, got the arms free. Hand pass was clever to Jack Williams, then on to Kelly. West Coast still with it, comes to Yo, kicks inside forward 50. Good spoil in the end from Fletcher. Was able to work it away to Morris for the Lions. Centre half back. Kicks towards the outer wing. Hoff once again has Cameron with him. They battle it towards the boundary line. It'll be a throw-in. Centre wing, southern side of the ground. More warm applause for Brady Hoff. 5-5-35 the Lions. 5-2-32 the Eagles. 21 gone in the second. The Giants lead the Tigers by 31 points at the MCG. 13 minutes gone in the last there.
Brady Hoff doing a great job of just leading. I looked at you.
Who? Leading who?
Oh, you made
leading
a mistake, Sharon.
We're all that impressed with having Chris in the box with us today. It's catchy.
Kelly kicks it up towards Jake Waterman. Can't take the mark. Knocked away from him by Joyce. Goes out of bounds for a boundary throw. You made a mistake.
I know what you're trying to say.
Leading Cameron to the ball.
You made a mistake there.
I was about to say, Cameron and Kyle Lohman have had very little impact on the game. They've both been well held by Brody and Tommy Cole at this stage.
Doing a great job.
Ball spun back in. Bailey Williams in front of McInerney. Tapped it down. Neal. Tackled immediately by Kelly. Ball trapped underneath the pack. Will be balled up.
It's always more fun when it's not you.
What do you say? Put your teeth back in.
Exactly, all the time.
Ball tossed up again. Ashcroft, a little chip forward. Taken by Witherden.
Every day of my life shows.
I'm just getting stuck into Shaz because it was 90 minutes ago you made the smallest one flick and Shaz was all over it as the ball goes.
Fair enough too.
Back inside the forward 50 for the Eagles. Marek able to win it back. Handballed it to Cripps. Tried to take on. Berry was dispossessed. The umpire saw it so. Jared Berry, game 150 today. Wins the free kick. Still inside his own defensive area. Kicks it up the wing looking for Archie. Couldn't mark. Coming late was Harry Edwards. Bodies clash in. Bailey went without it. Then he got it back as it ricocheted off Kelly. Got it to Neal. Short kick to Morris. Takes the mark inside the centre circle for the Lions. Numbers streaming forward, looking for a target. Kicks it out in front of Hipwood. Can't take the mark. Brilliantly done by Hutchinson, playing the defender role now. Was able to knock it to a teammate in Hoff, who got the clever kick towards Brockman. Couldn't take the mark. It spilled to Wilmot. The Lions load up again, kick it inside the forward 50, and somehow Danaher takes the mark at the back of the pack. It seemed like time froze. Players stopped. And Joe Danaher, who didn't fly for the mark, just took the easiest of chest marks at the back of the pack.
Oh, it was a bit of a mismatch there, and he's done quite well to shield the drop of the ball and push the undersized Tommy Cole out of position.
Joe Danaher already has one. He's missed a set shot today. This time he won't make the same mistake. Sends it through the middle. Extends the Lions lead out to 9 points. 6-5-41. West Coast 5-2-32. Danaher has 2 goals. The Lions have 6. Well, a little bit of breathing space on the Eagles.
West Coast had the ball in their hands at the on their half forward line and coughed it up, and again back down. Brody did really well, but it was another errant exit from defensive 50 that didn't hit a target or find a target. Straight back in, you're right. Tommy Cole somehow ended up on Big Joe and
just held the drop of the ball. Yeah.
Hutchinson was brilliant. He got all the way back in defence, made the spoil, and wasn't enough.
Well, they won the ball again and just didn't get it out of defensive 50 to an area where it didn't come back.
It'll surprise no one, but Lockie Neal now leads all comers in terms of possessions. He's got 16. McInerney stayed down. Bailey J flew. McInerney won it down and then shoveled a kick forward, but only as far as Ginby. Marked at the defensive edge of the centre square for West Coast. Kicks up the corridor, long inside forward 50, and that's a good mark. Diving back, Joyce. It's the second in the line of 2, but read it really well. Hit the turf. He's back into the left back pocket. Shadow Brain, one of the best names in the competition. Kicks beyond defensive 50. Chance to build again. Lions, as a little bit of sunshine breaks through as Fletcher marks and moves it across half back. This is with McKenna. Lead came from Berry towards centre half back, and that's honoured. Berry marks, doesn't even take a step and just chips it forward to Zorko. Almost about to step off his mark as Ryan came right to him. Instead, he'll stab it short. That cannot be a mark. It's only 7 metres. Doesn't matter because Zorko continues to run by, receives the ball. On in turn to Neal. Clever kick towards Loman at right half forward, then to Brain, and he sends it inside forward 50, and between full forward and centre half forward, it's marked by Bailey.
First real bit of link-up transition play we've probably seen, where they've gone from mark, handball, receive, and it just caught West Coast kind of flat-footed a little bit there, and we're able to continually get that overlap.
What they do, they honour the runner.
Yeah.
If someone is prepared to run and go past, they give them the ball. And what you're doing there, you're creating more run because your teammates know they're going to get it.
Zach Bailey wants to put his name on the list of goal kickers for the Lions. He sends it between the big sticks for his first and Brisbane's 7th. 7-5-47 Brisbane. 5-2-32 West Coast. 26 gone in the second term. Sunday footy on ABC Sport. Clint Wilden alongside Mitch Turner, our experts Sharad Wellingham and Chris Waterman.
You're right. When they have someone streaming past, rocking up for the handball receive, and it's on it just promotes more and more run, doesn't it?
It does, and it is very difficult to defend as a defender. You just don't know which one's going to kick it.
And especially when teams like to come forward and press and put forward pressure on the opposition, if you're able to get that one overlap, it really makes it hard because the whole defense has to kind of swivel and come up from one side and defend from the other, and if you can get one out the back, it's all open.
McInerney gets the tap away against McCluggins, tackled by Shrew, taken to ground. No Pryor. Umpire will toss it back in the air. Williams v McInerney again. McInerney gets the hand over the top towards Bailey. He smashes it towards the forward 50. Ginby gets back first for the Eagles. Got it to Ryan. Dances away from Archie. Kick out to the wing to Jermaine Jones. Immediately handballs to the running Yo. Kicks up towards Waterman. Had position. Leicester did well to get a fist in. Zorko was able to gather. Handball over the top to McCluggage. Thought about the handball, got tackled, eventually got it away. The Eagles win it back. Ryan gathers off a step, kicks inside the forward 50, and Edwards darting back, takes the floating mark, sees something he likes inside, and honours the lead of Kelly, who's got a slightly better angle, slightly closer in. Will go back just left of centre and kick from about 45 metres out.
Almost had to honour that lead from Kelly about 2 seconds earlier, and he would have been directly in front, 5 metres closer. But still in a good position to convert.
Yeah, he has to kick this goal to keep him in this game.
Tim Kelly to answer back for West Coast. Kick looks pretty good off the boots. It is good. Sneaks it in the left upright, pumps the fist. The Eagles get an important goal to stay within touching distance of the Lions. They cut the margin back to 9 points. They're 6-2-38. The Lions are 7-5-47. We've played 28.5 minutes into this second term. Tim Kelly getting himself on the score sheet.
Well, Flying's playing his 100th game today, but he's just gone back into the middle, got his hands on it, and West Coast get moving forward.
First possession down in defensive 50, and then a follow-up at the back of this turnover off McCluggage, wasn't it?
Yep. Just getting his hands on the ball, which is it's a good move, just changing it up in there.
Match review officers handed down their findings. There's no suspensions to come out of yesterday's games. Quite a few careless contact with an umpire offences. Tristan Jerry has got away with just a fine for kneeing Brodie Grundy. Back in the middle on the restart. Oh, the ruck got a telling tap. Kelly looks to emerge with it. Instead, Dunkley stole it off the ground and he gave it to McCluggage. Kicks Brisbane inside forward 50. Barris got a little nudge, just shove in the back, and he'll get the free kick against Danaher. Receives the football back.
Should have been 50 as well.
Not sure where to go. Immediately is Barris, so he'll kick towards the commentary wing. Well done to Wilmot, got in front of Bailey J. When it's a ground, Luke Edwards picks it up. It's been locked in there by Ashcroft. Ball up again between left half back and centre wing. Commentary side of the ground. Bailey J. Williams gets a touch on it. Kneels out after it for the Lions. Around the body with the kick, hard up against the boundary line. Still there to be won. Well done, Harry Edwards. Got a hand pass down to Hunt. Swept the hand pass again forward to Kelly. Pops one over the top to Hunt again. The Eagles in attack down the wing. Hand pass to True. Hand pass to Reid, who's happy enough to step over the boundary line with Zorko right with him. Directly beneath our broadcast position, just forward of the wing, northern side of the ground. Brisbane still leads 7-5-47. The Eagles are 6-2-38. The applause is for Adam Simpson, who's appearing on the big screen.
So next to Andrew Gaff, up there in the box. This time the Eagles kick it towards half forward. Waterman flies, was crunched in the pack. It's spilled down to Ryan in game 100. He tumbles one towards the goal square, and Harris Andrews, as composed as he always is, was able to just knock the ball through for a rush behind. So 6-3-39 the Eagles, 7-5-47 the Lions. An 8-point margin well into red time in this second term.
Lions work it to Wilmot, who has it at centre-half back. He'll move it short. Chance to go again for Brisbane. McCluggage marks and chips it over the top. Just a little wedge comes the way of Zorko. Zorko kicks towards left half forward. It's a beautifully weighted kick. Put back inside forward 50. Lions through Archie. Up. Trying to steal it away is Bailey. Got a hand pass over the shoulder. McCluggage sockers it backwards again. Hipwood put his head over the football. He's met coming the other way, and that's holding the ball. Well done, Harry Edwards. Didn't give away the free kick for front on contact, but was able to wrap him up. That's a dangerous kick across half back, but it'll work out okay. Carried the pack, True. Almost lost it behind his back. Tried to shovel a hand pass forward. Fletcher got in the way. Zorko, inventive, didn't gather. Socketed it on the volley inside forward 50. It comes now to Bailey, and Bailey misses. He's got a few things to say about the miss as well. Didn't mind that inventive stuff from the Lions. 7-6-48 Brisbane, 6-3-39 West Coast, 32 gone in the second.
Balls off hands for a throw in from the restart. Eric Hipwood had a few things to say to Zach Bailey, who was standing all on his own over the top in the goal square.
Joe the Goose for either he or Danaher.
It was clever by Zorko, the kick from the centre square just straight out of mid-air. He saw the numbers ahead of the footy. Ball spun back in, McInerney taps it down to Ashcroft, coming out to meet it, Barris, sliding in, couldn't take the mark. Lohman dives on top of him. There'll be a ball up inside the Lions forward 50.
Never seen a power forward not give a spray.
That's true. Ball tossed up in the air again. McInerney taps it down. McCluggage through traffic beautifully, snaps it on the left, and he can't finish off the great work. It was textbook ruck work and roving. McInerney tapped it straight down to McCluggage, but he couldn't finish it off. The Lions 7-7-49, the Eagles 6-3-39, a 10-point margin.
Giants by 30 over the Tigers, 26 gone in the last at the MCG. It's the Eagles beyond defensive 50. Bailey J. Williams, who takes a big mark at left half back. Stands up against the boundary line. Reasonable crowding, somewhere in the vicinity of 42,000 as the kicks towards the commentary wing. Andrews punches it down. It's spilled to Kelly for West Coast. Now it's with the 100-gamer in Ryan. Pops it up in the air, and that's out of bounds on the full. Just shy of centre wing, northern side. Leicester will take the free kick for Brisbane. Mills now got 18 disposals. McCluggage and Dunkley with 17 apiece. Here's one for Leicester, kicking towards right half forward. As the siren sounds, just as McInerney takes a big grab. He's going to try the torpedo. It's just going to bounce inside the forward 50. That is the major break. Brisbane 7-7-49, West Coast 6-3-39 at half-time. So a 10-point margin in favour of the Lions. The goal kickers, Joe Danaher's got a couple. Singles to Dunkley, to Ashcroft, to Cameron, to Hipwood and to Bailey. While for West Coast, Hutchinson with his first goal in AFL football. Jack Williams has one as well. Cripps with one, Kelly with one, Yo with one and Waterman with one. Brisbane by 10 at half-time. Let's get the thoughts of our experts. Dual premiership player Chris Waterman, premiership player Sharry Wellingham on ABC Sport.
I've loved the fight from both sides. I think the intensity and ferocity of the contest is really evident. West Coast just getting belted around the clearances, aren't they? 32-14 in the favour of Brisbane. Too strong and getting too much bang for their buck. I think I said it, when West Coast are getting their hands on the ball, they're not able to probably clear it away. They're getting stopped by the rest of the Brisbane midfield, either with a tackle or a smother or a strip or something. And so the clearances just are not really amounting to much, which on the other side of the coin, Brisbane are looking really, really good from clearance and able to transition. They've only done link-up, like we said, link-up transition play that once, which looked really good. And I think that is on the back of West Coast setting up pretty well defensively. But just not sure. Maybe it's the ruck. Bailey J's obviously really undersized, and they're not getting it inside 50 enough as a result of not getting the clearances. What are the inside 50s? 23.
Yeah, 23 35.
So it's just 12, not getting in there enough, is it?
12 different. I mean, Oscar McInerney's had 5 himself in the clearances. So, but having said that, I thought Bailey Williams has been pretty sound around the ground. He's taken a couple of nice marks here. That's where he can
get him on the other way.
Get him the other way. He can, because he's a little bit smaller and a bit more mobile. He needs to use that to his advantage, I think. But the clearances are they're 10 more or something like that. Mm-hmm. There's not much else around the ground apart from the clearances, which leads towards the inside 50 differential. But apart from that, I think West Coast have been pretty good. They've been up for the fight. Backline's been really good.
I think Brisbane's class is probably is showing and their ability to be cleaner in tight and in contest. But the fight and I suppose willingness to compete is really evident from West Coast, which is a good turnaround from what we've seen
Yeah,
over the last
absolutely.
couple of weeks.
They've been unfortunate just a couple of times. Even the last one with the young True there, the ball just got stuck around
on
his back.
back,
But,
yeah.
you know, he gets that clean and they're out. And they're probably hitting the scoreboard in some way, shape or form. Just a number of times they've had the ball, West Coast, and just given it up back to Brisbane, who just go bang and whack it
I don't
on the
mind.
scoreboard. But outside of that, they've been pretty good.
I don't mind the way West Coast are
No, it's been good.
not resorting, but relying on contest up the line.
Yeah.
So they're going, all right, we've got a slow play. We'll kick to a contest and we'll get numbers there, and we'll slow it down. If we can then produce speed on the ball from there, that's fine. But they're happy to just go to a contest, get numbers there, and slow it down, aren't they?
Kick to numbers, because that way it takes all the guesswork out of the game, and you're not trying to invent something that's not there, like a short pass or a switch that doesn't need to happen. Go to the big boys, and that's where Barley's been pretty good, taking a couple of marks.
And it doesn't look like they're trying to bite something off and
that's
invent
right.
something.
Yeah, exactly. And so long as they all know what's going on, you get the numbers around that clearance. The best thing that could happen was just create another stoppage on the wing.
Exactly.
And then set your forward line up, reset that up. Look, they might have to come up with some idea of around the ground clearances. Maybe just say, look, let him win it. We know where he's going. We'll pick him off and try and grab a couple of clearances back that way.
It's very reminiscent of the Schofield coaching tactic that we saw. I think it was 16, 17, 18 when the Subiaco was that the premiership trifecta?
Somewhere around there, but
it's exactly the kind of football that he coached them to play then. It was a huge reliance on contest, really disciplined and consistent football where everybody was just on the same page. And from that contest, you can do what you want. You can take off if you win it at that contest. You can go any way you want. But we're going to get numbers to the contest and we're going to be predictable.
It's a simple style of football, because everyone can just buy in and say, okay, well, we know where it's going anyway. If we get beat at this, we haven't been hard enough in the contest. That's a simple way of looking at it. Or you might just get beaten by a better team on the day, which right now you'd say Brisbane are just ahead of West Coast. It's only 10 points. It's not much. West Coast have had their chances to be in front. Silly little flying Ryan. I thought he should have just had a drop punt on that shot of goal, little things like that. But
one of those ones where his angle of his run was almost too much towards the boundary line, wasn't it? And so you can't really straighten up unless you got the confidence to go on the left foot.
Thoughts of our experts Sharon Wellingham and Chris Waterman with us. Sunday footy on ABC Sport. Brisbane 7-7-49 at half-time. The Eagles 6-3-39. The other scores to let you know about: the Gold Coast by 14 points over Port Adelaide earlier today, and the Giants have just won at the MCG. GWS by 24 points over Richmond, 17-6, 108 to Richmond's 12-84. There's a bit going on in the world at the moment, so let's pause and get the latest from the ABC Newsroom.
I'm Sally Sarah, and this is a special ABC program. An investigation has begun into the attempted assassination of former US President Donald Trump. The FBI says the shooter was 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks. Mr. Trump was wounded when the gunman opened fire during a rally in rural Pennsylvania. The former president had blood running from his ear as Secret Service agents rushed to his aid. Mr. Trump raised his fist defiantly to the crowd as security officers took him to a waiting vehicle. A member of the public was killed in the shooting. 2 others were gravely injured. The gunman, Thomas Matthew Crooks, was shot dead by police. Here's the audio of what unfolded.
Take a look at what happened.
Move! Go!
Hot guys here.
Shooters down. Are we good to move?
We're clear.
Let's go.
Clear.
I got you, sir.
Let me get my shoes, sir.
Hold that in your head. It's bloody.
So we gotta move to the bus. Let me get my shoes. Okay, my shoes down. Watch out.
That's the audio of that shooting there, the attempted assassination of former US President Donald Trump at a rally at Butler in Pennsylvania. Well, the Secret Service says the former president is safe. Mr. Trump has now been released from hospital. A spokesperson for the Trump campaign says Mr. Trump is fine after what's described as a heinous act. President Joe Biden has spoken with Mr. Trump, and President Biden says there is no place for political violence.
It's sick. It's one of the reasons why we have to unite this country. We cannot allow for this to be happening. We cannot be like this. We cannot condone this. And I want to thank the Secret Service and all the agencies, including the state agencies, that have been engaged in making sure that the people and we have more detail to come relative to other people maybe injured in the audience. I don't have all that detail. We'll make that available to you. I may be able to come back a little later tonight, but we'll put out a statement if I'm not able to if it's not convenient for you all. But the bottom line is that the Trump rally was a rally that he should have been able to be conducted peacefully without any problem.
Lieutenant Colonel George Bivens is the Deputy Commissioner of Operations with the Pennsylvania State Police. He says it's too early to say whether the shooter, Thomas Matthew Crooks, acted alone.
And so there are a lot of witnesses to be interviewed, a lot of things to be processed. There were some complicators that hopefully the next time we speak we can describe for you, but some complicators that slowed down some of the processing and the positive identification of the shooter. But know that at this time we have no reason to believe that there is any other existing threat out there. We are doing everything we can to make sure that this is thoroughly investigated.
Well, Donald Trump has posted on his social media platform, Truth Social. This is what he said. I want to thank the United States Secret Service and all of law enforcement for their rapid response on the shooting that took place in Butler, Pennsylvania. Mr. Trump says, most importantly, I want to extend my condolences to the family of the person at the rally who was killed and also to the family of another person that was badly injured. Mr. Trump says it is incredible that such an act can take place in our country. Nothing is known at this time about the shooter, who is now dead. I was shot with a bullet that pierced the upper part of my right ear. I knew immediately that something was wrong when I heard a whizzing sound, shots, and immediately felt the bullet ripping through the skin. Much bleeding took place. So I realised then what was happening. God bless America. That's the post that's been put up by Donald Trump on his platform, Truth Social. Well, let's get some of the reaction now from back home. The Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, has addressed the media this afternoon, saying that he is shocked by the scenes in the US.
I'm relieved by the news that the former president is safe and doing fine, and I wish him and his family well. I applaud the swift work of US security agencies. I'm also saddened by reports that a member of the audience has lost their life and other attendees have been injured, and I send my condolences on behalf of Australia to their loved ones in this time of grief. Let us be clear. The people at this event, the candidate, the crowd, the free press covering it, were all participating in the democratic process. In Australia, as in the United States, the essence and the purpose of our democracies is that we can express our views, debate our disagreements, and resolve our differences peacefully. We do so with respect for each other and in the spirit of a shared love of our country. Any act of violence is an affront to that and must be condemned unequivocally.
That's the Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, speaking this afternoon. Some of the reaction from here at home. I'm joined now by John Barron, one of the co-hosts of Planet America. What do you make of what's unfolded?
Well, Sally, this is history unfolding before our eyes. Quite shocking scenes, quite surprising scenes in a sense. We're familiar with the fact from our history that American presidents have been shot and killed in the past. Presidential candidates have been shot and killed or shot and wounded. A interesting coincidence that the son of Senator Robert Kennedy, who was shot and killed campaigning for the presidency in 1968, Robert Kennedy Jr., is among the leading candidates for this year's presidential election. So this has implications implications for the way the rest of this campaign through until November the 5th plays out. It is remarkable, though, to be seeing how this will play out in contemporary America, unlike 1967, when there was a sense that the deaths of Martin Luther King and then Robert Kennedy shocked America into a slightly different stance. A law and order campaign from then Republican candidate Richard Nixon profited from the sense of chaos and fear that Americans were feeling. Clearly, President Trump is predisposed to run a similar sort of law and order campaign off the back of these events. So it is a very testing time for the United States, and given how America has changed in that half century or so since they dealt with anything similar to this, it is going to be intriguing and worrying to see how this plays out now.
Can you take us into the here and now with this? So we've got the Republican National Convention about to get underway in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Former President Trump is scheduled to speak at the end of the week. We've heard from his camp that he will still go ahead with that speech, as far as we know. We've also just come out of this extraordinary previous period last week with so much concern and contention about the ability of Joe Biden to run as candidate, let alone to continue on as president for another term. What does the next few weeks look like, or is it impossible to tell?
It's impossible to tell, you're right, but we can take an educated guess. The good news for Joe Biden today is that right now, nobody is really talking about him being too old to serve another 4 years as President of the United States. The bad news for Joe Biden is that today he did adequately in response to Donald Trump's injury. Donald Trump projected strength in that moment, remarkable strength. With blood on his face, he pumped the air with his fist. Indeed so. That conforms very much to the image of Donald Trump as a strong leader in a time of trouble. That's politically very good for him. So he now goes to Wisconsin to accept the Republican Party's nomination. He will announce his vice presidential running mate. He will turn up as a conquering hero. He was already going to get a poll boost of a couple of points out of this convention. All candidates tend to do that if they go reasonably well. There will also, presumably, Sally, be a sympathy vote as well for Donald Trump. Having survived this, to many he appears invincible. To others, he simply appears stronger than Joe Biden. So this could have a significant impact on the undecided voters. Not the loyalists, they're already locked in, but the undecided voters who are worried about Joe Biden's age, and 85% of American voters are worried about Joe Biden's age. There's nobody that could really be worried about Donald Trump's age and stamina and strength after seeing what we saw today. So today could be the day that Donald Trump effectively won this election.
The layering is really interesting at the moment. The increments of this story are happening so rapidly and they're each extraordinary. It was only a month or so ago that we were primarily referring to the news around Donald Trump that he was a convicted felon. Now he's a survivor of an assassination attempt.
And this fits into that narrative, Sally. His supporters believe that Donald Trump's enemies tried to disqualify him from the ballot, tried to imprison him. They failed. Now they've tried to kill him. We don't know the motivations of the young man who's believed to have been the attempted assassin in this yet. But certainly there will be conspiracy theories running wild as to how this was able to happen. Make no mistake, this was a catastrophic failure of the United States Secret Service. They are widely praised, and they're being praised again today because most of the time they don't let presidents and former presidents get killed.
You're listening to an ABC special on the assassination attempt on former US President Donald Trump.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the 2024 AFL season. Every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Barris flies down again towards Dunkley. Came off the back of Archie, had a second go at it, and he kicks it through. That's one of the more remarkable goals that you're likely to see. High fives all around for Josh Dunkley.
Cripps can't mark. Brockman, clever tap to Allen. Handball onto Hutchinson. Can he kick the goal? Can he kick it? Yes, he can. Jack Hutchinson gets his first goal in AFL footy. They needed a goal and he stood up.
Neil, clever kick towards Loman at right half forward, then to Brain, and he sends it inside forward 50, and between full forward and centre half forward it's marked by Bailey. Zach Bailey wants to put his name on the list of goal kickers for the Lions. He sends it between the big sticks for his first and Brisbane's seventh.
The 2024 AFL Premiership season.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
The movers and shakers from the AFL are in town. Spotting downstairs, Laurie Kane and Josh Marnie are on the big screen here. Of course, the AFL CEO's meeting taking place in the West this week, right beneath our broadcast position at the moment. Not the AFL CEO's meeting, but Liam Duggan, who has been subbed out for the West Coast Eagles with concussion. Tyler Brockman coming in. Brisbane still can activate their sub. Bruce Reville, who we haven't seen as yet. The 2018 Premiership side is currently in with Adam Simpson in the Premiership Lounge. Adam Simpson, if you just joined us, spoke to the Eagles fans at the start of proceedings, thanking them for their support over the last number of years, and again celebrating their 2018 Premiership that he as coach had a pivotal role in bringing to the West. Half-time Brisbane 7-7-49. The Lions in front. A victory today will see them go back into the 8 and into the 4. Well, for the West Coast Eagles, 6-3-39, and Oscar Allen just having a fair bit to say as the Eagles huddle now breaks beneath our broadcast position. Those other scores, just repeating, Gold Coast by 14 over Port Adelaide, and the game that has just been completed, a win for the Giants. GWS getting home by 24 points over Richmond. What do the other numbers say for us, Mitch Turner?
Disposals going the way of Brisbane, 177 to 167. They're winning the hitouts 24 to 20. The tackle count 37 to 30. The clearances 13 to 13. 33 to 13. Sorry, the inside 50s 35 to 22. Individually, the disposals, Lachie Neale leads all comers with 18. McCluggage and Dunkley both have 17 behind him. The Eagles, Jaden Hunt has 15, Kelly has 14, Elliot Yeo has 13. The main score, 7-7-49 the Lions, 6-3-39 the Eagles.
Players back out in the middle. Still a bit to play out in this one. West Coast do their absolute best to continue that run of teams that have the interim coach bounce. 5 times the last 9 occasions there's been a change in the coach. It's happened the very week afterwards. The lights flash. Top of the roof here at Perth Stadium. Also, players go to position. We're about to get this quarter underway. Brisbane with a 10-point lead. Siren sounds about to start. Bounce of the footy to get the quarter underway. As we welcome our listeners throughout Victoria, Tasmania, South Australia, Northern Territory and the AFL stream from Richmond versus GWS. Third term just underway. The Lions lead by 10 points. Only multiple goal kicker of the game is Joe Danaher. They led by 8 at quarter time. Brisbane out to a 10-point advantage. Clint Wilden in commentary alongside Mitch Turner.
Ball at half forward, congestion for the Lions. The Eagles trying to work it away. Yo gets a kick out of the pack up towards Jack Williams. Doing well was Joyce to get in front. Ryan came through, socketed towards half forward. Lester gathered immediately, tackled by Waterman. Then Cripps was too slow, tackled by Zorko, holding the ball. Subs today, Bruce Reville. The Lions unused. For the Eagles, Tyler Brockman is onto the ground. Liam Duggan out with concussion in that second term. As Brisbane move the ball up the wing, ends up in the hands over the top. The running player in Fletcher runs inside the forward 50, spots a target. Hipwood takes the mark on the chest. Already has 1 goal today. Will go back right forward pocket, a chance to make it 2.
Just that handball receive again. Wasn't it, Muddy, that we spoke about when they promote that run and carry? It makes it really hard as a defender because your forwards are predicting and able to take a proactive position of where they want to lead.
The Eagles have kicked the first goal in the opening quarter and the second term. Hipwood gets the opening goal of the third quarter for the Lions, and he's got 2. So Brisbane, an early major here in the second half. They extend their lead out to 16 points. 8-7-55 Brisbane, 6-3-39 the Eagles, who've played just 2 minutes in the second half.
And our experts, Sunday footy on ABC Sport here at Perth Stadium today. Dual premiership player with the West Coast Eagles, Chris Waterman, alongside him, Collingwood premiership player, Sharad Wellingham.
Well, West Coast had the ball, just a little bit of a brain fade by Cripper. He didn't have his awareness up. If he gets that ball forward, they score. Got tackled down, was good by Zorko, and they just went bang. As you said, they gave the ball off to the runners, and it's hard to defend.
Zorko's kick was really damaging too. Just that inside the bubble kick that they talk about really makes it nice and enticing to play on.
The restart. Williams got a tap on it. McInerney won it down. Neal, there's disposal. 20 for him today for the Lions. To Rayner. Sends it inside forward. 50. Archie! Able to outmark Hunts. He's got it 40 from goal. 45-degree angle to the right. What a start to the term and the half this would be for Brisbane.
Well,
effective clearance again.
They've just won the first 2 centre clearances and gone inside 50 twice. So the big discrepancy at half time has just got bigger.
38-22 now, the inside 50s. Mark's inside 50s a bit closer, 8-7, but Brisbane lead them as well. Here is Archie from 45 metres out. Great start for Brisbane in this second half. Archie kicks the goal for the Lions, adds his name to the list of goal kickers. The Lions have got their 9th, and they've got 2 in the opening 3.5 minutes of the quarter. 9-7-61 Brisbane, as they nestle comfortably into 4th spot on the ladder. West Coast 6-3-39. First game in charge, if you've just joined us, of course, for Jared Schofield, the interim coach for the West Coast Eagles, after they said farewell to Adam Simpson this week.
Just can't. I've done a lot of hard work here, West Coast. Just can't drop their guard here and just let it blow out. They've just got to hang in there.
Can't let it come undone, can they?
Just got to fight harder. Bailey Williams has just got to get a little bit tougher in the middle, and just got to get their arms around Lachie Neale. He's the difference at the moment.
2 quick goals for the Lions. Ball back in the middle. McInerney had to stand underneath it. Tapped it straight, though, to Reid for the Eagles. Off to Ryan. Kick inside the forward 50 is beautifully weighted into the path of Waterman, who takes the chest mark and immediately starts direct to the umpire to set the mark. Another 10 metres back as he slid after gathering it in.
We spoke about Flying Ryan going up into the midfield and adding that different mix. It was that change of angle, wasn't it, on the kick?
Couldn't get a better kick. It's just straight on a dinner plate. It was just fantastic by Ryan, and you're right. He has made a big difference for West Coast.
Jake Waterman has 1 for the day. He has 40 for the season. His set shot has been reliable, and now he's got 2 goals today. The Eagles fans cheer. They get one back after Brisbane's 2 straight goals to start the term. The margin back to 16 points. The Eagles 7-3-45. Brisbane 9-7-61. Still only 5 minutes played here in the third term. 3 goals already. 2-1 the way of Brisbane.
Well, it's a clearance game, and they won the first 2 and scored, and West Coast win the next one and score. So that's where they just got to up the ante right in there.
But that was the first time you'd say that you've really seen Bailey J get a hit out to advantage where it's gone exactly where you want it. When he's going up against McInerney, he's obviously really undersized, and we're seeing it either hit the deck and then Brisbane get on it a lot better.
Bailey J wins the tap again. Ryan's back there, gathers for the Eagles to Cole. Met in a solid tackle immediately by Dunkley. Wraps him up and takes him to ground. Ball up the cool. Fire throws it aloft. Punched forward by McInerney. About 30 metres on it. Achie inside forward 50. Beautiful hand pass off the Rayner, who steadies and goals. Easy as you like for Brisbane. They just waltzed in. Cam Rayner puts his name on the list of goal kickers for the Lions. They've got 10 now, Brisbane. 10-7-67. West Coast 7-3-45. 6 and a bit gone in the third. We've seen 4 goals kicked. 3 for Brisbane, 1 for West Coast. What a start.
Stoppage again. I think it's turning into a real clearance goal game. And Rayner came up, I believe, as a forward to that stoppage. And his ability to get out the front, I don't know if the defender went with him, but his ability to be on the fly from that contest makes it really hard to stop.
Kelly Reid, Trude in the middle for the Eagles. Neale, Bailey and Dunkley for the Lions. The Eagles get the clearance this time. Brockman runs onto it, gathers, snaps on goal, bounces it through. His first goal in Eagles colours. His 10th game for the season. The former Hawk is finally on the board and the Eagles recognise it. Almost every player coming from every part of the ground to get around the small forward. It was a great gather, a great finish. And the goals out of the middle continue to fly. The Eagles are 8-3-51. The Lions are 10-7-67. It's a 16-point margin. We've now had 5 goals in the third term. We haven't yet played 8 minutes. And they've all come out of the middle.
It's pretty incredible, really, isn't it? I think the game these days is built so much on turnover football, but we're just not seeing that today. 4-2 for West Coast off the back of turnover and 5-5 for Brisbane, but 5-2 stoppage in favour of Brisbane and 3-1 for West Coast. It's really balanced, but it's usually 80-20 the other way.
Not the entertainment factor. McInerney palmed it down and taken high here was Reid. Knocked up by Neal. And take the free kick as a hand pass to Kelly. Sends it on inside forward 50. That's a good mark to Shadow Brain. In a pack, had it at full back and flares it out into the right back pocket to Leicester. Leicester moves it to Fletcher. Has it hard up against the boundary. In the right back pocket still. Goes with an inboard pass. Still in their defensive 50. It's with Leicester once more for Brisbane. The lead has come up through Joyce. He's made to earn it, and he takes the mark. Brisbane with 8 different goal kickers for their 10 goals so far. 10-7-67 the Lions, 8-3-51 the Eagles. Cool afternoon in the west, about 14 degrees. Cloud hangs above the stadium. Kick goes to the outer side, turning Danaher, ran onto it, got it onto Dunkley, hand passed it down the boundary line. It's gone over for a boundary throw-in. Copped a little knock afterwards as well. Dunkley gets up holding his head. Ball to be thrown in just forward of the wing for the Lions.
Little slight knock from the arm from Hunt on Dunkley. Ball spun back into play. Neal got it out wide. Kelly's there for West Coast. He's tackled by Dunkley and Bailey, and Reid comes in over the top. It'll be balled up.
Kelly just tried to pull out a little Kevy Bartlett there.
Well, handball to himself as McInerney takes out of the ruck. It was smothered by True. Neal was able to get it to Bailey. Under pressure from Reid. Kicks towards half forward. Beat both Archie and Hunt. Fletcher just throws the handball away. Looking again for Dunkley, who's now up to 20 disposals. Lachie Neale leads all comers with 22. Hugh McCluggage with 19. They're the 3 at the top of the disposal count today. Lions still lead by 16 points. Ball back into play. True for the Eagles. Got it to Luke Edwards. His kick out to the wing looking for Cripps. Can't gather it before the boundary line comes. It'll be tossed back in again. Out of sight of the ground. Just backward of centre wing. The Lions lead by 16 points. 11 minutes played in the third.
Very quickly gone back into an arm wrestle after a flurry of goals.
Ball put back in. McInerney diving forward, punched it down. Cole got a hand pass back to Luke Edwards, gives it to Ryan, gets around Bailey, pops a hand pass forward to True, hand pass to Cole running by, and now it's with Reid. Takes a bounce on the wing, still going forward, gets a kick away, stretching Cripps, couldn't mark. Brain got in the way, Brockman gathers, going over the top of him was Coleman, ball worked onto Hoff and then to Cripps and he's tackled. Good pressure came from Leicester, came back to Ashcroft, great tackle but he got a hand pass away. They'll eventually move the ball beyond defensive 50 of the Lions. They kick towards the commentary wing. Still an opportunity here for them. Went back to Morris, then to Archie. Kicks towards left half forward. Danaher and Barris more interested in each other than the football. The ball goes by them and then tumbles over the boundary line for a throw-in at left half forward. 10-7-67 Brisbane, 8-3-51 the Eagles, 12 gone in the third. Sunday footy on ABC Sport. Here's Mitch Turner.
Tyler Brockman doesn't look good over there, coming off.
Ball spun back in below us. We'll keep an eye on that one. He is with trainers, Tyler Brockman, as the ball's wrapped up from the boundary throw-in. There's a serious limp on.
Hopefully it's just a corky or something as he hops his way towards the boundary.
Has been a physical game as McInerney taps it out into the path of Rayner. Can't gather. Ball goes over the line and gets a little bit of advice from the Eagles fan sitting on the fence down there.
Well, he was the sub, and he came on for the concussed Liam Duggan, and now the sub is in trouble.
Kicked a goal just 3.5 minutes ago. Did Siler Brockman. Ball spun back in. Bailey Williams tapped it straight down to True. Sold a little bit of candy. Got it back to Edwards. Now back to True. Now Cole. The Eagles going in the wrong direction. Jimby gives it to Cole again. The third time in the chain. Kicks across his own defensive 50 and a hard running mark by Jack Hutchinson. Outstretched, takes it. Is able to go short to Waterman on the outer wing.
Plays on by hand. Jimby receives. Kicks quickly to Luke. Or rather Cripps. And Jamie Cripps marks and then steps backwards and gets tackled by Charlie Cameron. Forced to go back again to Waterman. Forced to retreat with a kick to Cole at left half back. He'll move it forward to Hutchinson. Just inside the centre square. A metre or two inside the defensive edge. Kicks towards left half forward. Good mark, Archie. Read it well. Jermaine Jones front position. Didn't have the height. Floating through, Archie takes the mark for the Lions. And there's a 50-metre here as well. I didn't spot what it was for. Had my eyes on Archie. He immediately runs forward, sends it, kick towards full forward. Spoil at the back came from Barris. Rayner bursting through, broke the Jinby tackle, got a kick away. He goes to ground as the ball bounces towards left full forward. Cole is back there, gathers for the Eagles and gives it off to Marrick.
Played on with nothing up the line.
Marrick, risky kick back towards the centre of the wing. Making a contest was Cripps. Allen came through. Was tackled. Just the 2 touches for Oscar Allen today. Hasn't seen much of the ball. This time was way up the ground on the wing. Now running back to his forward position. McInerney again over the top. Just palms it forward. Into the path of Luke Edwards though for the Eagles. In there. Crashing in was Lohman, couldn't take possession. Dunkley eventually extracted it. The Lions turn it over again though. The Eagles through Jack Williams. Bit of fancy footwork, got it to Jimby. The Eagles in the middle of the ground. Hoff finds himself on the end of it. Kicks up to the leading Waterman. A long way from home, standing at centre wing. Just has to slow it down. The Lions with numbers back. Eventually called to play on. Goes Shaw backwards to Cole. Standing on the logo at centre wing goes the darted pass up to Cripps. Continued his run. Cole got it back. Kicks it inside the forward 50. Allen flew high. Couldn't take the mark. Tapped down in the path of Bailey. Stolen by Marrick. Gives it off to Luke Edwards. Snaps towards goal and makes it count. The Eagles make it back-to-back goals. Luke Edwards gets his first. Just his second goal for the season. The Eagles cut the margin back to 10 points. So the margin back to where it was at the start of this third term. Brisbane 10-7, 67. West Coast 9-3, 57. 15 and a half played. Third term here at Perth Stadium. Sharad Wellingham and Chris Waterman, our experts on ABC Sport.
Not enough forward movement, Chaz.
No, they're
not
kind of just
up.
waiting.
Yeah, they're waiting for the long ones. Oscar.
But down the open side, Jake is presenting as that first one, but then off of that, they're kind of folding back, aren't they? Instead of coming up and being that second outside option. It kind of felt like for about 4 or 5 minutes there, it was just right on the edge of them getting a result, and they managed to tip it in their favour.
1-8 clearances to 4 in this quarter, the Eagles, and they'll get this one as well. Jack Williams got it down and then handed it off to Yo. Kicks inside forward 50. Wilmot takes the defensive mark. Coming out to meet the ball on his chest. He'll pop it back to Andrews. Still inside defensive 50 and a couple of lines forward. He could have taken his pick. He found McKenna.
Super condensed ground at the moment with Brisbane's deepest forward only being about 50 metres at the most away from the ball.
Kickers towards left half back where it's taken by Joyce. Joyce for the Lions runs inboard and sends it long towards left half forward. Oh, that's a good fly. Harry Edwards up from the side. Attacked the football. It was a 2-on-2. He provided the extra for the Eagles. Brought down the Sherrin.
And that's what can happen when it is a nice condensed ground when you're in defence. But it also means that you can be exposed out the back, doesn't it?
Ali J. Williams on the ground. He takes the mark in front of the interchange gates. Want someone to come towards him. Harley Reid was appealing for it. Instead, he'll kick deeper towards right half forward. Allen went up against Danaher. Spilled down to Ryan. Ryan was trying to find Hutchinson and couldn't. Hipwood was able to read that, and he took the defensive mark between fullback and centre half back for the Lions, who lead by 10 points. 18 gone in the third. Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
Swings it wide to Leicester. Mack in now to Joyce, one of two ins for the Lions this week, alongside Shadow Brain. Of course, missing Jack Payne, Brandon Starcevic today. Jack Payne set for a bit of a stint on the sidelines too. Done well though, has Joyce down back as the Lions go short up the wing to Ashcroft. Zorko runs past, collects the handball, kicks it up the wing into the forward 50. Can't take the mark. Loman of the pack, roved it, was tackled immediately. Dispossessed, umpire called play on. The Eagles win it back. Reid takes a bounce running across half-back. He's pursued by a Lion in McKenna. Got away from him. His handball, though, set a task for Jimby, who's immediately tackled by Lockie Neal. And there'll be a ball up. Centre half forward for the Lions. He wasn't able to break away on that occasion, Harley Reid. It's Williams, taps it down, trying to burst through is Yo. Broke a couple of tackles, coughed it up though. Archie gathered, kicked it high towards Hipwood. 1-on-1, can't take the mark. Edwards, both players battle back towards the goal face. The ball bobbles out of bounds for a boundary throw in. Deep inside, the Lions attacking 50. They still lead the Eagles by 10 points.
Definite raise in the noise when Harley gets his hands on the ball in the crowd, isn't there?
Certainly is. Danaher took clean possession, got a hand pass out to Loman, hand passed over his shoulder. This is Morris. Great smother. It came from Cole. Down to Bailey, picked it up, hand passed over his shoulder. True able to gather, sent it anywhere. Instead, it's down the throat of the player in Fletcher at right half forward. Moved it short, inside forward 50 to Neal. Not sure that was exactly what you'd expect for a mark, considering some of the times we've seen play on called earlier in this round, but Neal nonetheless. Mark's uncontested, right forward pocket. He'll start from beyond the boundary. He'll put boot to ball from just inside 50. Trots in for the Lions. Kicks on its way. It's across the face. No, it's just gone through. Bailey Williams leaping up. He was trying to get a touch on it. The goal umpire set himself. Looked like it was going to miss for a moment, but I reckon that snuck in. I'll send it upstairs.
Soft calls goal.
Just watching where Bailey Williams runs as the ruckman, whether he goes back to the middle or... Well, he's setting up out wide for a kick in, Bailey Williams.
Score review suggests it's passed over the line. It has just snuck in the left-hand goal post.
Didn't hit the post, is that what they're checking?
Yeah.
We'll have to get Snicko out. Doesn't look like it.
Oh.
Gee whiz, it's close.
It's very close.
This is where they need to match up the side on angle to see if that ball is past the post at that point.
The problem with Snicko here could be that because there's so many players around the post.
Looking at these angles, there is insufficient evidence to determine if the ball has hit the post or not and has crossed the back of the goal line before being touched. Decision on the scoreboard.
So they can't use Snicko because players have gone into the post. So how do you judge on whether or not there's been that impact at that time? So the umpire's call is a goal, which means Brisbane have another one. Lockie Neal becomes the Lions' 9th goal kicker. By the narrowest of margins, it snuck in. Still a great kick from where he was, 50 out, starting beyond the boundary line. Brisbane have got their 11th, 11-7-73 to West Coast 9-3-57. 21 and a bit gone in the third term.
You're dead right. You look at that replay, the kick to Neal has not gone 10 metres. And they've put the whistle away on that one. Then they've been hot on it all weekend.
That's why the Eagles fans were booing. They don't need much of an excuse, but on that occasion I think they had every right to be unhappy from what we've seen going back to, particularly to Friday night.
Well, it's on the scorebook, the scoreboard. Lockie Neal goal. The Lions trying to win it out of the middle again. Ashcroft did well to get around Kelly. Now the ball goes inside the 50 for the Lions. Coming across was Edwards for West Coast. Punched it into space. McCluggage gathers, kicking a half from home, spots the lead of Hipwood. Great vision from Hugh McCluggage. Was able to find the Lions forward leading out. Hits him on the chest. About 48 from home. Already has 2, Eric Hipwood. So classy is Hugh McCluggage.
As the ball was going to him, I was like, this is exactly where he wants to get the ball. Just be super creative and composed when going inside 50.
Was able to turn and spot up Eric Hipwood. Already has 2 goals today. Makes horrendous contact from outside 50, and that is putting it mildly as it flies off the side of Eric Hipwood's boot and misses the goals. I'd say the centre of the goal is by 25 metres, and there is no score. The Eagles have it back.
Nearly missed the stadium.
It was a shocking kick. He's already got 2 goals today. The moment it left his boot, that wasn't going to be another. Wilmot tackled by Reed. Ducked and got a hand pass out. It came to Berry. Now to Dunkley. Kicks towards Danaher. Good spoil. Harry Edwards up. Knocked it away from Big Joe and saw it over the boundary line for a throw-in. Joe is still down on one knee. That would have hurt a little bit.
Just looking at the camera, and Brockman, it doesn't look like it's a cork, but he's getting his ankle re-strapped at the moment.
I was up and trying to do a few run-throughs, but wasn't exactly moving smoothly. Thrown back in again. Cripps tried to take possession and tackled immediately. Ball up the call. McInerney won that tap. He wins this one as well. Ball squirts out to Bailey, tackled by Jinby. Got a hand pass out the side. Berry, then to McCluggage. Into traffic. It came though to Jinby. Worked it on in turn to True. To Reed for the Eagles. Kick towards centre half forward. Knocked down by Hutchinson. Hand pass was there. Marrick tries to run onto it. Tried to tap it to his own advantage. Had Ashcroft to beat. Rain comes back to lend support. Gave it to Ashcroft. Now to Joyce is at left half back for the Lions. Bounces a kick towards the commentary wing. Cole underneath it. Was able to get a hand pass away to Witherden. And then curls a little kick around the body cleverly. And he finds True, who marks just inboard of the logo on centre wing, northern side. He'll go to Witherden. He'll flare it right across the top of the centre circles to Hoff.
Hoff sees the lead from Waterman. Kick was a little too hot for the Eagles forward. He had to put one hand up, couldn't take the mark. Now the Lions win it back. Neal running down the outer wing, finds Danaher. He's about 80 from home. Handballs across to Neal, wants it back. Neal spilt the ball, eventually gets it back towards Danaher, takes it on the bounce. Now 55 from home, tries to curl one back into the middle of the 50. Oh, the Eagles spilt it. McCluggage came through, gathered, kicked on goal and missed to the left. So they almost made something out of, well, they almost cost themselves a goal, then the Lions, and they almost got it back and they gave it away again. A minor score. 11-8, 74 Brisbane, 9-3, 57 the Eagles, 17-point margin, 25 and a half minutes played in the third term.
You look at the impact off the ball. It's been true, and I think it was McInerney a moment ago. So the Eagles kick towards right half back. Jack Williams can't mark it. Came to Allen on the ground. To Bailey Williams. His hand pass was intercepted. Morris got it. And in turn to Joyce. Kicks the Lions towards left half forward. Lohman battling against Barras. Barras caught one high. And a little bit of a push too against Lohman. Barras will get the free kick. Eagles think they've been on the wrong end of a few umpiring decisions. We'll go right back to the opening moments of the game where I'm still not sure how the Lions weren't given a goal. It's a less than a 1 point or 1 goal margin in favour of West Coast. That'll come up again. The kick is towards the wing. One down by the Eagles through hands. Jack Williams couldn't quite take the mark. It came there to True. He's been tackled. It's a ball up. Thrown immediately into the air. McInerney won it down to McCluggage. Not tackled. Do we get rid of it cleanly and properly? No. It's free kick to West Coast. They've come back to be taken by Jack Williams. Has a goal today for the West Coast Eagles. And the youngster, one that they're hoping to see plenty more of. 11 games so far this season. This is 12th for the rest of the year. The kick is towards right half forward. Maley J up in the pack. Spills down. Rode beautifully by Kelly. Spears it to Waterman. Couldn't take the mark. Lester at the back was able to knock it down. It's then scooped up by Kelly and taken over the boundary line for a throw-in. That was a good spoil by Leicester because Waterman is exceptional in those circumstances. Throwing deep in the right forward pocket. Brisbane 11-8-74 lead the Eagles 9-3-57. 27 gone in the third. Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
Off the pack. Williams tapped it down. In there is Reid trying to extract it for West Coast. He's tackled immediately. Ryan Leicester, game 197 today. He's been such a reliable servant for the Lions for such a long time. McInerney from the restart, tapped it down, ball bobbles around inside the forward 50 for the Eagles. Neal eventually got it to McInerney, clears the forward 50. Jinby tracking it back for West Coast under pressure from Danaher, and then just dives on top of the ball and commando rolls it out of bounds. So the ball will be tossed back in on the wing.
Brockman downstairs, ice on his left ankle. The Cash photo tells us from downstairs that's his day done.
So already making that substitution, bringing Tyler Brockman on for Liam Duggan, the Eagles. Now Brockman is out of the game with an ankle injury. Liam Duggan with concussion, which means, of course, he'll miss the next clash against St Kilda. Ball tossed back up on the wing. McInerney and Williams both go to ground. McInerney tapped it straight to Harley Reid. Was tackled. Wanted a whistle for without the ball. Wasn't obliging. Neal wins it back for the Lions. Out to Lohman. Now Jared Berry. Game 150 through the middle of the ground. Kicks it up. Barris flies over the top of Danaher. Not paid the mark. Didn't hold it long enough. Rayner's clean as a whistle. Picks it up. Slots it. Cam Rayner's got two. The Eagles fans don't like it. But it's a goal to the Lions. 12-8-80. They lead the Eagles 9-3-57. 23-point margin. The replay. Sharad Wellingham. Chris Waterman. Tom Barris. Did he hold it long enough? He took it all the way to ground. Would you have paid it? Yes, no.
That's right on the edge.
Yeah. If anything, Danaher impedes.
Yeah,
but I'm going to go back to the clearance at the halfback flank. Harley Reid was dealt with and thrown away off the ball and didn't have it. That should have been where the free kick was. Having said that,
can't take anything away from the goal.
And he's got two. He's looking a bit dangerous, Cam Rayner.
Both of you dodged that question beautifully, by the way. Throwing up. McInerney almost trapped it into his shoulder and then got a kick away. Allen couldn't pick it up. Hoff could. Bursts away towards the logo on the southern wing. Gets a kick towards Waterman. Waterman gathers it nicely. Slipped over. Just stays in play. Looks for an option. Gets the kick away to Yo. That was well done. He's got it at left half forward. And then trying to get another kick away. Sliding back. The spoil came from Dunkley. Ball ricochets into the left forward pocket. Waterman has a long-range shot. He's missed. He's missed a lot. Out to the left-hand side. No change to that score. 12-8-80 the Lions. 9-3-57 the Eagles. We've gone past half an hour in the third quarter. Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
Joyce goes for a little trot. Now the right back pocket. Kicks high to the wing. Bailey Williams over the top. Takes a great grab for West Coast. Now, not a lot of movement because he sends it back from where it came. Kicks it up towards Waterman at the front. The sticky hands are back. Took the mark out in front and will go back from a tight angle in the left forward pocket about 35 metres out. We'll have a kick for his third goal.
Well, the last one that Jakey led at, it was at a really awkward height where you're not quite sure whether to take it on the chest at full speed or put the arms out and not jump. So that one, really easy decision for him to make. Just launch at it.
For goal number 3. A much-needed one for West Coast. Waterman's kick is skewed away to the left. So unable to find the major. A minor score, 9-4-58 West Coast, 12-8-80 the Lions, 22-point margin.
Been there for a while now, but worth noting, Oscar Allen, their captain and co-captain and one of their leading forwards, needs must when the Devil drives, has gone back into defence, playing first on the wing and now one of their key defenders for the West Coast Eagles. Of course, Jeremy McGovern out of this game. Dunkley kicks towards left half forward. Barris with the spoil. Spills down to Witherden. Gets a hurry kick away for the Eagles towards right half forward. No mark taken. Zorko shoveled the hand pass out over the top, and it came to Rayner. The kick was in the direction of Danaher. Punched down by Barris. Spilled straight away to Kelly. He was wrapped up immediately by Rayner. Ball up the call on the northern wing. Big tackle from Rayner. Thrown aloft. McInerney palmed it down. Berry versus Yo. Neither could get it. Kelly emerges with it. Oh, stolen away cleverly by Neal. And Neal gets a kick. The dual Brownlow medalist towards left half forward. Allen back. Want some help. Edwards in front was able to just get in the way cleverly of Hipwood, and Allen can take the defensive mark. He's in the right back pocket for the Eagles. West Coast still, as we close in on three-quarter time, trail by 22.
Allen's kick up the wing, looking for Bailey Williams, goes over his head. Kelly running onto it, tries to tap it to his advantage, can't keep it in. Is Allen playing as a spare defence?
I was about to say, this is new. This is something we don't see from West Coast, and I think it's a really good move. And you've just got to learn how to absorb the opposition's loose man and don't kick it to Harris Andrews in the air. Just got to get the hit-ups.
Oscar Allen played a lockdown back early in his career. As Berry extracts it for the Lions, kicks it up towards the wing. Barris was able to get it for West Coast, kicks it down the line, and the siren sounds to end the third quarter. Plenty of goals coming in it. The Lions, though, 12-8-80. Lead the Eagles 9-4-58. 3 quarters gone here at Perth Stadium.
Goal kickers for Brisbane, 2 to Hipwood, 2 to Danaher, 2 to Rayner. Singles to Archie, Dunkley, Ashcroft, Neal, Cameron and Bailey. While for the West Coast Eagles, Waterman's got 2. Singles to Yo, Brockman, Kelly, Cripps, Edwards, Jack Williams and Hutchison. West Coast have made their substitution. Liam Duggan out with concussion, but the sub himself, Brockman, now looks done for the day with an ankle injury. Brisbane, Bruce Reville still to be seen, a sub for Brisbane. Other games today, Gold Coast by 14 points over Port Adelaide, GWS by 24 points away to Richmond, and repeating three-quarter time in the West, 12-8-80 Brisbane to the Eagles 9-4-58. Sunday footy on ABC Sport. Let's pause and get the latest from the ABC Newsroom.
ABC News with Sally-Ann Young. A multi-agency investigation is underway into a fatal shooting at a Donald Trump election rally in the US state of Pennsylvania. The former president was injured in the ear while one attendee was killed along with the shooter and 2 others left wounded. The FBI has identified 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks as the subject involved in the attempted assassination. And many world leaders have reacted with shock to the attack. US President Joe Biden says there's no place for this kind of violence in America, while British Prime Minister Keir Starmer says he's appalled. Back home, a police investigation is underway after 2 bodies were found at Melbourne's Maribyrnong River this morning. The body of a man was found in the water by a passerby at about 9 o'clock. An hour and a half later, another member of the public found a woman's body in the water about 800 metres away. The New South Wales government says it is ramping up safety standards on lithium-ion batteries in an attempt to reduce what is the fastest growing fire risk in the state. Fire and Rescue New South Wales has recorded 90 lithium-ion battery blazes in e-bikes and e-scooters between 2022 and 2023. And residents across Tasmania are being urged to prepare for potentially damaging winds and heavy rainfall, which are forecast from tonight through to Monday. A low-pressure system in the Tasman Sea is heading towards the state, causing wind gusts of up to 100 kilometres per hour along the west coast, much of the east coast and in the Central Highlands.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the 2024 AFL season. Every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Out to Lohman. Now Jared Berry. Game 150 through the middle of the ground. Kicks it up. Barris flies over the top of Danaher. Not paid the mark. Didn't hold it long enough. Rayner's clean as a whistle. Picks it up. Slots it. Cam Rayner's got 2. The Eagles fans don't like it, but it's a goal to the Lions.
The 2024 AFL Premiership season.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
It was an 8-point lead to Brisbane at quarter time. 10 at half time. They lead by 22 at three-quarter time kicking 5-1 to 3-1 in that term. 12-8-80 to West Coast 9-4-58. Let's get the thoughts of our experts. Premiership players, both of them, Chris Waterman and Sharad Wellingham, here, Sunday Footy on ABC Sport.
Well, that was a good quarter of footy, I thought. It started with a flurry of goals, then went back to an arm wrestle. A couple of decisions we weren't sure about. It was going both ways, back and forward. So, look, they just stretched their lead out a little bit, Brisbane, but 22 points is not insurmountable. Just looking at the stats, everything's still the same, but the clearance differential is massive now. It's 20 difference, and you look at Lachie Neale, who's had 28 possessions. He's got 17 contested possessions and 11 clearances.
It's a massive effort, and I think that, like we said pre-game, the midfield class was what was going to stand out, and we can't question the fight, and I suppose buy into what Jared Schofield's tried to get them to do, which is just play a predictable and contested brand of football. But like you said,
top three
Lachie Neale, McCluggage and Dunkley, top three possession getters
on the ground
for Brisbane, have done a mountain of work for the Lions midfield, or the Lions side, and between them have got 18 clearances on their own. So, going the other way, I mean, Kelly's toiled hard. Yo's toiled hard, but they're just not getting their hands on it and having much bang for their buck when they do get their hands on it.
Did like the move of Osselback just the last couple of minutes.
Just a little bit of a shore up and a little bit of a plug. Just make sure we don't get any late quarter goals scored against.
Hold on to it. It's something that we have never seen the Eagles do, and good kudos to Scully and the boys up there for doing something different. Also, Oscar's not having a big impact on the game, so it gets him in, gets him mark on the ball.
The thing that is a little bit concerning for me is if Brisbane in this quarter start to win those contests down the line, because they are playing such a high congested brand of footy, or a structure of footy, I should say, if they're able to win any of those contests, they're going to be really easy to score out the back. And we might see a flurry of out-the-back goals.
Some of those other team numbers are the clearances, as mentioned, 44 to 24 the way of the Lions. The hit-outs 39 to 30 favouring Brisbane. The tackle count 56 to 42 favouring the visiting side. The inside 50 count is 46 to 32 favouring the Lions. Individually, as mentioned, Lachie Neale 28, McCluggage and Dunkley both with 23. For the Eagles, Kelly and Yo both with 19 apiece, as the Lions will take a 22-point lead into the final term of the final game, round 18 action of AFL on ABC Sport.
And looking for a sixth straight win, Brisbane stay in front, and they'll finish the week in fourth. As Bailey J. Williams wins the tap down, it gets taken away then by Neale, but the umpire spotted a free kick. It was the non-controlling umpire as well who made the call. It'll come back for West Coast to be taken by Elliot Yeo, who's calling for the football. Witherden is at left half back for the Eagles. Will send it all the way to him in the middle of the ground. First game in charge for Jared Schofield, the interim coach of the West Coast Eagles. What can he do in this final term? Kicks deep inside forward 50. Brain front position, couldn't take the mark. It spilled down and locked in. Well, up again the call. Between centre half forward and full forward for West Coast. Throwing up. McInerney with the tap. Down to Marrick though. Got it onto Kelly. Don't argue, came the way of Ashcroft. Kelly kicks towards goal, but he's missed to the left-hand side. Minor score to start proceedings in the final term. 9-5-59. That's West Coast. 12-8-80 the Lions. Opening 60 seconds. Sunday footy on ABC Sport. Clint Wilden alongside Mitch Turner in commentary.
Zorko with the kick-out duties goes wide to Berry out there in the left-back pocket. As Leicester running past, decides to give him the handball. Now kicked by the Lions veteran up the wing. Barris flew from behind, flew in front though. Andrews took the mark. Leading up at the ball, the defender has it right on centre wing. Goes short inside to Wilmot, almost spilt the mark. Had to juggle it a couple of times as Cripps was rushing in. Managed to hold it though. Now goes laterally again back to Leicester. In the yellow boots. Short to McCluggage. Disposal number 24 coming up for him as he kicks up now to Bailey.
Looking for a handball. There it is, the handball receive.
Zorko was the man running past who was able to take the handball receive. Kicked it up towards Rayner. Took the mark down low. Handball off again to the runner McCluggage. Lowers the eyes. Spears it in to Charlie Cameron, who takes the mark on his chest. Will go back from about 25 metres out, slightest of angles to the right, and have a chance to kick his second goal.
You can literally see them lining up, can't you?
Didn't go to the first one, went to the second one.
Queuing up.
How do you defend the bloke you're on 20 metres down the oval? It's just difficult.
Starting to run over the top are the Lions. Charlie Cameron for the opening goal of the fourth term. He drills it through. The Lions rush to him. He's got 2 goals. And they extend their margin out to 27 points. 13-8. 86 Brisbane, 9-5-59 West Coast. Played just 3 minutes in this final term. Sharad Wellingham and Chris Waterman, our experts here on ABC Sport.
It's a really calculated, meticulous brand of football where they wait and wait and wait, find that little hit-up kick, and then have someone streaming past that no matter how close someone is on them, they're going to reward the run. And if it isn't that first one, that player will go back and try and find the next one. And if it's takes 2 or 3 like we saw then, just opens it up, and like I said, it's so predictable for the forward.
Biggest lead of the match, 27 points. McInerney palmed it down, but straight to Reid. There's a holding decision on Reid. Held without the football before it went to him anyway. Looks to play on by hand to Witherden and receives it back. Reid bursting away and then kicks into the right forward pocket. Not a great kick. Zorko was there to receive it. Makes the mark for the Lions. Flares it out towards left half back. Brisbane in complete control at the moment. Jared Berry standing with the defensive 50 arc. He runs across where the 50's painted on the ground and kicks towards the outer wing. Hard up against the boundary. Danaher marks. Sting seems to have gone out of the game and out of the crowd after the early goal for Brisbane. Danaher will kick high and long towards left half forward. Hunt front position, palmed it down. Rayner at the drop for the Lions to Lohman. Clever hand pass under pressure to McCluggage. Gets it back to Rayner, left forward pocket. Steers the pass inboard to Bailey, who marks. 35 from goal, 45-degree angle to the left. Nicely worked from Brisbane.
Yeah, they've just gone into another gear here, and it's not as if they've upped their intensity or anything like that. It's just almost as if they've settled into a game style that West Coast aren't able to put any pressure on them.
The difference between skill level has been evident in the first 7 or 8 minutes. I mean, Harley
inside 50
goes straight to Brisbane. Theirs just don't miss their own targets.
Here's Bailey coming in looking for his second. He's pushed it to the right. A minor score. 13-9 87 Brisbane. 9-5-59 the Eagles. 5 gone in the last. Brisbane's lead out to 28 points.
Alex Witherden with the kick-in duties. This time goes long up the middle, looking for a target. And Ryan, who flies up and takes the mark. Game 100 continuing to rise high is Liam Ryan. He goes short to True. Gives it off to the run of Cole. Handball outside to Hunt. Back to Cole. Now with True again. From 55, kicks it towards the goal square. Allen takes the mark. Andrews was desperately trying to get back. And Oscar Allen stuck the knee up into the chest of Harris Andrews. Took the mark, goes back, top of the goal square, sends it into the second tier. He gets his first goal of the day. Cuts the margin back to 22 points. 10-5-65 West Coast. 13-9-87 Brisbane. Still just within arm's reach for the Eagles with plenty of time left. There's 6.5 minutes played in the final term.
Well, if they're going to move the ball like that, real quick, great mark by Liam up the ground first, but then just got on with it, moved it quick. You just can't
defend it, wasn't it? It was a wave of the backs coming through. It was Hunt and Tommy Cole linking up with True.
West Coast need to do it more often because that's all that Brisbane's done. It's done it more than them. They've got to be able to play on and just take it on and turn the ball over doing it that way.
Oscar Allen back forward, kicking a goal. It's co-captain Liam Duggan off the ground due to concussion protocols. Bailey J. Williams wins the tap from the restart. McInerney looks to soccer it forward. Came as far as Hunt's. Free kick going West Coast way, but they'll take the advantage. Moving on by hand quickly through Kelly. Then Cole towards Luke Edwards, who marks it right half forward, despite the pressure of Zorko. He bounces up and pops it inside forward 50. And in the right forward pocket, the 100 gamer Liam Ryan marks. Without a goal today.
Again, a bit of pace on the ball, wasn't it, Muddy? Just willing to take it on, make their decision on the move, trying to catch the Brisbane defenders off guard.
Well, we just said it before. It's just very hard to stop once you get moving. You're forcing them to chase, and they don't want to. They're 20-odd points up, and they just want to keep going.
Liam Ryan will kick from 50. It's a lovely kick off the boot. It sailed through, and the 100-gamer can crack his milestone with a major. He'll celebrate with the crowd, and then his teammates come from every part of the ground. A Mark of the Year winner, an All-Australian, a Premiership player. 100 games to Liam Ryan. And even more importantly, it brings West Coast to within 3 goals. The Eagles 11-5-71, Brisbane 13-9-87. The Lions lead is capped to 16 points, 8.5 gone in the last, as Ryan becomes the Eagles' 8th goal kicker of the match. Our experts, Sharrod Willingham and Chris Waterman.
Well, it's 4-2 clearances this quarter in their favour, and they've just picked up a couple extra inside 50, so it's turned the stats a little bit. But
I nearly thought it was going to come undone with the Calder Edwards kick because it was a bit slow through the air, but a great mark from Edwards.
Ball back in the middle. The Lions try and knock it forward. Reed came barrelling through, went without it. Players crashing back in. Bailey couldn't quite get a handle on it. Tried to knock it to Neil. Now going back in was Cole. Cam Rayner on hands and knees. Somehow extracted it. Missed the boot with the ball though. Pin holding the ball, or incorrect disposal. Bailey Williams wins the free kick, gives it to Tim Kelly. This has to stop. Prop. Kick wide to Luke Edwards. Now up to the goal kicker in Ryan. Gets a round of applause. Kicks inside to True. Handball off to the run of Kelly. Little chip over the top to Cripps. Has players open in the 50. Hutchinson wants it in the forward line. That's where he goes. Going back, takes the mark. Takes it strongly, does the rookie. Already has 1 goal today. Will go back to kick career goal number 2.
Strong mark, wasn't it?
Good mark. Good ball movement. They're daring. That's what they're doing. They're daring the opposition. Come and get us.
The Lions were 28 points up just moments ago. All of a sudden, the Eagles have kicked 2 in a row to make it 3 in a row and to cut the margin to just 10 points. They're right behind the kick. Jack Hutchinson misses. Minor score to the Eagles. They are pushing 11-6-72. They trail the Lions 13-9-87. It's a 15-point margin. We've played 10.5 in the 4th.
Willie Rioli sitting in the crowd alongside Adam Simpson. Came on the big screen. Bit of a cheer for 2 players involved in 2018's Premiership. It was a kick towards left half back or left half forward, taken down by Jack Williams. The Eagles kick straight back inside forward 50 from Yo, and then it's punched over the boundary line for a throw-in. 48 out from the Eagles' goal. They're kicking to the Graham Farmer Freeway end of Perth Stadium in this final term. To the left of our broadcast position on the northern wing. Spun back in again. McInerney got front position, palmed it down. Ashcroft couldn't take it. Hutchison gets the hand pass out quickly to Jones. Kicks the Eagles towards left full forward. Has a fair bit on that too, and it floats through for another minor score. 14 points the difference. 11-7-73 the Eagles. 13-9-87 the Lions. 11.5 gone in the 4th quarter.
And clearance count 6-0 the way of the Eagles this quarter as Andrews brings it out to right half back. Lohman takes the mark. Opposed to Cole. No runners coming past this time. Kicks off a step. It's off the side of the boot. Just stays in for Berry. Takes the mark. Sucked up against the interchange gates. Game 150 for Jared Berry. Kicks it towards half forward. Lohmann going back, takes a good mark. He was the player that gave it to Berry in the first place. He was taken by Cole, who wrapped him up. After he took the mark, Lohmann sold it, to his credit, for all it was worth. And the umpire deemed that he was impeded by Tom Cole as he tried to make a move with the ball. And he has been marched inside the forward 50 and will now have a shot from just outside the top of the goal square. Kyle Lohmann has not kicked a goal today. He has now. The Lions get a steadier. They push the margin back out to 20 points. Lohmann gets his first, 14-9-93. West Coast 11-7-73. 13 minutes played. Our experts in the box here, alongside Clint Wheeldon and myself, Sharad Wellingham and Chris Waterman, premiership players. Your thoughts on the 50-metre penalty?
That was definitely there. It was unnecessary from Tommy to try and slow him up, professionally trying to slow him up, but red hot by the umpire, but it was there.
Sold it well, Lohmann, didn't he?
Yeah.
Like he got grabbed.
Played it perfectly.
Got grabbed illegally. And
I'll tell you though, the kick from Jared Berry to find him was outstanding because there was nothing on and he found a needle in a haystack.
He kicked the ball to Berry from the half-back line too.
10 different goal kickers now for Brisbane. The restart. Jack Williams did the right work, got it down to Reid, came out the back to Hunt, evaded one tackle, spirals the kick inside forward 50. Allen flew, staying down. Andrews, and Andrews has given away the free kick, pushing Allen in the back according to the umpire.
Give it back, Andrews. Should be 50.
Andrews did take an eternity to give it back to Oscar Allen.
There was zero urgency there, was there?
He's right in front, Oscar.
Admittedly, he did think he'd taken the mark.
There's the slightest.
Yeah, disguised it well, but it's there.
Yeah, it's there.
And milked well by Oscar Allen.
And the reverse of what we just said about Lohmann, made sure that the umpire saw it. So Oscar Allen from right in front, the co-captain kicks from 45 outs. They won't go away, West Coast. Allen's got his second. And that margin is back to 14 points once more. 14-9-93. The Lions in front of the Eagles. West Coast 12-7-79. We've gone into the 15 minutes of the final term. Sunday footy on ABC Sport. Clint Wilton alongside Mitch Turner. Our experts, Chris Waterman and Sharad Wellingham.
Just looking at the stats, West Coast have gone in front, which tells you how this first 10 minutes has been played. They've been really hungry, getting their hands on it and moving it forward. But Blues playing that way because they're scoring playing that way.
7
clearances for the points. Yeah. 7 zip. So massive turnaround from the clearance point of view.
They just won't go away, the Eagles. Ball back in the middle. McInerney tapped it down, couldn't find a rover. Yo jumped on it for West Coast. Gave it to Kelly, running towards the 50, takes a bounce, kicks it back in the Allen direction. Andrews outpointed him, got to the front, then coughed up the ball. It falls to the Eagles, it's snapped through. No! It's missed by Cripps. It hits the post on the way through. Almost made the most of it. Minus score to West Coast. 12-8-80 the Eagles, 14-9-93. The Lions 13-point margin.
Tactical change for the Lions. Morris is off. Reveal on. That's a tactical substitution. So they've made the change, the Brisbane Lions. And that surely isn't far enough from Andrews to Fletcher to be a mark. You could have doubled that on Friday night and they wouldn't have paid it. Goodness me. Fletcher in the meantime for the Lions kicks towards the outer side of the ground. Punching it down is Barras. It heads towards the boundary line. Lester's done well to shepherd that over, and then a bit of push and shove after all that from Hutchinson. 41,489 is today's attendance, so just short of the previous record of 41,524 between these teams. The restart, McInerney got it down. Jack Williams tried to work it forward, got tackled and lost it. Neil involved as the Lions move towards left half forward. Barras, good mark against Danaher. Diving forward at right half back for the Eagles. Hands it off to the former line in Witherden. It's a bouncing kick towards Hoff in the middle of the ground. Running through the centre circles is Kelly. Under pressure. Wobbles a pass though, but worked out okay to Cripps. He'll go back from centre half forward. Kicks the full forward. Wanted Hutchinson. It flies over the top of him as he attempted to launch over McKenna. And it's through for another minor score. It's a 2-goal game. 14-9 plays 12-9. Lions in front. 18 gone in the last.
The sub into the action. Reveal has the ball inside his defensive 50. Kicks wide to Brain. He spills the ball. Stays in on the boundary line. Then he's crunched by Ryan. Barely, it seemed, in the side. But he has hurt Shadow Brain.
That was a rib cruncher.
The ball was just sitting up on the boundary line. Brain had to put his head over the ball to take possession, and Ryan came from a mile away.
It was good for him to make that contest too, because if he didn't get there,
got him
Brain
clean.
would have run away with it.
Got him clean in the side, did Ryan. Ball tossed back in. Yo taps it to his advantage. Gives it to Kelly. Shakes the tackle from Archie. Off to Hunt. Now Hoff. Kick smothered by Lohman. Good pressure. Balls to Fletcher. Now to Berry. He's kicking up the wing for the Lions. Looking to McInerney. Williams did well to get a fist in from the Eagles. McInerney just flicks it up to Archie. Kick towards half forward. Danaher on the lead. Takes the mark. He's a long way from home is Joe. He wheels and goes. Kicks it towards the top of the square. Lohman floating in from the side. He's already got one this quarter. And he is doing a mountain of work. He'll go back for his second and push the margin out to 18 points.
Couple of really desperate acts by Brisbane and West Coast players there. Great mark and play on from Danaher.
Kyle Lohman picked 20 back in 2021. Having a terrific season and a terrific quarter. He's got 2 for the match, 2 for the quarter, and he pushes the margin out to 18 points. The Lions, 15-9, 99, lead the Eagles by 3 straight goals, 12-9, 81. We've played almost 20 minutes in this final term. Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
Well, see Tommy Cole coming off. He was on Lohman then. Just couldn't quite go with him the full distance. But I reckon one thing's starting to tell in this match that West Coast are down 2 players.
Yeah,
and they're short on the run and the rotation, so it's starting to bite in.
I see McInerney off the ground when he almost scooped it up. Was that a throw?
No, he's a ruckman. He's a good tapper.
Tap.
Yeah.
This is a ruck.
Not sure you're allowed to do that on the ground, though. Interesting moment. What about the smother on Hoff across half forward? That was going deep inside forward 50. Great stuff, that, from the Lions.
That was Lohman.
Was it?
I believe it was.
They score there, and it's almost West Coast favour.
3 goals the difference. McInerney wins it down. It comes the way of Hunt and tackled immediately for West Coast. They've found their voice, the Eagles supporters.
Chant goes around Perth Stadium.
A while since we've heard this. Ginby trying to bring it away. Rayner stole it, got it quickly onto Dunkley, kicks the lines inside forward 50. Barish juggles it, marks it. And then knocked out of his hands by Danaher. They've had 3 50s go against them today, the Eagles, so the fans would want something back. Nothing doing on that occasion. Harris goes back. Comes towards Harry Edwards. Long kick towards the outer side. 2-on-2 battle, and Ryan doesn't fly. Stays down, but marks against McKenna. Hands it off to Kelly for West Coast. Kicks towards right half forward. Edwards is there. Harry hands it off again. It comes to Ryan and then to Kelly once more from right half forward. Kicks to full forward. Allen was up, spilled down to Yo, tackled by Berry. Ball's going to be locked in. Full forward for the Eagles. Brisbane lead by 18 points, 22 gone in the last.
Yo is very sore at the bottom of this contest.
Clutching it almost.
Yeah, my
heck.
View's a little obscured from my angle by Oscar McInerney, who's a pretty big blockage, as you could imagine, but he's down on his haunches, Elliot Yo. He has a trainer alongside him who's calling for more support from the doctors. He's right where the ball needs to be tossed up. But for now, he's waved them away, Elliot Yo. Ball goes up in the air. Bailey Williams couldn't win it down to a teammate, McInerney. Snaps it out into space. Marrick, the first one there for the Eagles, trying to tap it to Ryan. Stolen by Wilmot. He was tackled immediately. Marrick to True. Now Harley Reid steps around one, went with a banana, kicked it straight up in the air. Edwards waits under it for West Coast, but a beautiful grab taken. Opposed to him by Jasper Fletcher. Takes the mark, retreats inside his defensive goal square to Zorko.
Great mark for Fletcher. Ball's moved to Wilmot. Marks in the left back pocket. Pink boots in motion and then goes short to McCluggage, who marks it full back. Hands it back to Wilmot, who ran by him. Runs into the right back pocket. Kicks the lines towards the logo commentary wing. And that's another good mark to Fletcher. Dragging in with his right arm, one-handed, against Luke Edwards.
Holding off Edwards with the left arm. Sticks the right hand out and grabs it. Beautiful.
Gave it to McCluggage, who marks and played on quickly. To McKenna, who then slips over on the Perth Stadium turf. Comes back to McCluggage. Now through Hipwood to Neal. Kicks the path of McCluggage at right half forward. Eventually gathered. Tried to hand pass to himself. Follows up. Getting in front Harry Edwards. Got there for the Eagles. Hands it back to Witherden. Then moves it on to Hoff. Now to True. Kicks beyond defensive 50. Jones provides a contest up against Andrews. Spilled down to Wilmot though for the Lions. Hands it forward to right half forward to Ashcroft. Kicks back inside forward 50. Lohman! Oh, it's been his quarter for the Brisbane Lions. He's up to take a great mark in the right forward pocket. He's kicked their past two. And this would just about settle it.
It's been an incredible quarter from Lohman. Massive impact. And like you said, Mitch, his defensive stuff as well. Not just getting on the end of goals, but having an impact defensively.
This is the toughest of his kicks on goals. He'll start beyond the forward 50. His boots cross the arc. Only a metre or two in from the right boundary. The kick's across the face. It's off hands. And it's going to be thrown in. It's gone across the boundary line at left full forward for Brisbane.
Either way, it would have been a handy point.
Would have been. Would have taken them past the 3 goals. It remains 18 points the margin. 25 gone in the last. Lions in front of the Eagles.
Time running out for West Coast. Lions from the restart. McInerney tapped it down to Neal, whose kick on goal was away to the left. So a minus score. That takes it beyond the 3-goal margin, though. 15-10, 100 the Lions, 12-9, 81 the Eagles.
Brings up the 100 again for the Lions. It's West Coast into the right back pocket to Marrick. Stabs the ball. Good low flat foot pass. It came its way to Hoff, who marks. West Coast have to go. They wait though for True to provide a lead. He takes a mark, and again they're static. Time ticking away for the Eagles to put on a remarkable comeback. The kick is towards right half forward. Punch came down from Dunkley in the pack. On the ground it emerges through Harley Reid. Hand passes over the top for West Coast to Ryan. The 100-gamer sends it in the direction of Allen. And he's up and marking. 35 from goal. He'll start in line with the right hand behind post, and the co-captain knows he can't mess around. They're down by 19 points, the Eagles. Oscar Allen has 2, and he spent a fair bit of time back as well. Oscar Allen comes in. He's got 3. The margin back to 13 at the 26-minute mark of the last. Brisbane 15-10, 100 to West Coast 13-9, 87. It might be too much for West Coast from here, but they have not given up the ghost.
Well, Chris Fagan's going to go away with 4 points tonight, I think, and he's going to breathe a sigh of relief.
Yeah.
I can't see West Coast get it. It's big 3 minutes.
Massive centre clearance here.
Yeah, it is. I haven't given up totally. I think if they get it, he's going to really breathe a sigh of relief and say that was a tough game, which is what he probably wanted.
Have to try and come out the front of the stoppage, I reckon, West Coast, if they're going to be any chance this afternoon's game.
3 goals for the Eagles co-captain, all in this final term. Ball back in the middle. McInerney was able to take it away from the ruck, got it towards Archie, now dispossessed the Lions. Kelly has it for West Coast, they do win it out of the middle. Kicks up towards that one-on-one. Allen v. Andrews. Allen almost took it on the third attempt, couldn't. Ball came back the way of Wilmot for the Lions. Kicks it up towards Danaher. Barris did well to get a fist in. Rove though by Archie. Handball's off to Joe. Handball's inside to McCluggage. He's 40 out, ran into trouble. Tried to get it back to Danaher. Barris knocks it away from him. Jimby's there for the Eagles. Taps it towards Luke Edwards. They escape trouble for now, West Coast. The kick though, out to the wing, was straight to Neil all on his own, who chips it laterally to Andrews.
Brisbane just have to hang on to the football. They need to stay calm as it goes to Dunkley. Move it short again. On their way to what will be a 6th straight wing. It's in the hands of Berry, the 150-gamer. Berry puts it back in towards the left forward pocket. Bailey J. Williams up, couldn't mark. Harry Edwards stayed down. Came off Bailey J's hands before Harry gathered. And then he was tackled to the ground by Rayner. Ball up in the left forward pocket for Brisbane. McInerney got a fingertip to it, came down to Reid. He was tackled by Rayner, got a hand pass out. Cole gathered, took on McCluggage. And he might be a little bit lucky then, Cole, that it wasn't considered a prior. He was tackled the ground by McCluggage. It'll be a ball up again, still in the left forward pocket for the Lions. McInerney with the tap. And then down again and goes over the boundary line with Cole right there. Big round of applause once more for Adam Simpson, who appears on the screen. He spoke to the Eagles fans at the start of the game. Looks a little bit embarrassed about it all and all the attention, the former Eagles senior coach. Ball's back into play. Bailey out after it, goes to ground. Tried to pick it up. Now, he was immediately tackled. And that should be holding the ball, and is. Took a while for the umpire to pay the call, but it's there now. 13 points the difference. Lions in front, 29 minutes gone in the last.
Time humbly against the Eagles here as Yo kicks it outside the defensive 50. Kelly spilt the mark. Berry got it to Zork over the lines. Off to Neil from 55. Long towards goal to seal it. It bounces on its end and bounces through. Lockie Neal with the sealer. He gets his second to go alongside 34 touches and 13 clearances. It's been another big day for the two-time Brownlow medalist. And that will be the final blow for West Coast. 16-10, 106 Brisbane, 13-9, 87 the Eagles. It's a 19-point margin coming up on 30 minutes played in the final term.
If he becomes a triple Brownlow medalist, he will be getting 3 votes here tonight to help him on his way.
Yeah,
no doubt. Probably pick up 3 last week with 36 and 3 as well.
It's a beautiful little through ball from Zorko between the legs as he got held up. Put it out in advantage for Zorko.
Just a little bit more class out there than the West Coast.
And like you said, fatigued.
Yeah, they've lost a rotator.
Lions have done what they needed to do. McInerney wins the clearance. Got possession of the footy, kicked towards right half forward. Cole was there defensively for the Eagles. Switches play to Luke Edwards at right half back. Kicks it to Witherden. He'll mark and play on. Runs towards right half forward and then turns it straight over. That's a disappointing kick. Down the throat of Leicester. Marking in the left back pocket for the Lions. He'll steer it inboard to Wilmot, who took a step. He was off his lines. He was run down by Liam Ryan. Wilmot protesting, but he had done so. He took a step off his mark, looked to play on. Ryan was alert to it.
It was actually play on for not being 15. It was play on straight away. And no mark paid.
Well, we've seen those paid throughout today.
We certainly have.
So he had every right to probably think it had been paid.
Yeah, and Flying Ryan was right onto it, closed it down.
Game 100 for Liam Ryan. He's got 1 goal today. Looking for a second for West Coast. From 40 metres out, right forward pocket. Liam Ryan kicks his second. There's no interim coach bounce for the West Coast Eagles. They lose in Jared Schofield's first game in charge of the club, but the Lions, they make it a 6th straight win. Brisbane by 13 points. 16-10, 106. West Coast 14-9, 93. In front of over 41,000 people. Brisbane victorious in the West. So they found the club song eventually here at Perth Stadium as Brisbane celebrate their 10th win of the season.
We are the pride of Brisbane town, we wear maroon, blue and gold. We will always fight for victory, like Fitzroy and Bears of old. All for one and one for all. We will answer to the call.
They led by 8 points at quarter time, by 10 at half time, by 22 at three-quarter time. And the Eagles won the final term for Brisbane to be victorious by 13 points. 16-10, 106 to 14-9, 93 in front of 41,489 fans who at the start of proceedings said farewell to Adam Simpson and wouldn't have minded the way that West Coast ushered in Jared Schofield's time in charge. They wouldn't go away, the Eagles, and were done by a team that certainly had more class and have now put themselves into fourth on the ladder. Interesting, just again, so how tight it is. Brisbane started the week in seventh. They dropped out of the eight with earlier results, and today's win moves them up into fourth. The goal kickers for the Lions, 2 to Lohman, the final term he had, 2 to Danaher, 2 to Neal. So Lockie Neal with 34 disposals and 2 goals today. Cam Rayner with 2, Charlie Cameron with 2, Eric Hipwood with 2, singles to Archie, to Dunkley, to Ashcroft and to Bailey. For the West Coast Eagles, 3 to their co-captain in Oscar Allen, 2 to Ryan, 2 to Waterman, singles to Jack Hutchinson, to Jack Williams, to Luke Edwards, 1 to Jamie Cripps, 1 to Kelly and 1 to Yo, and also 1 to the sub Tyler Brockman. He then had to come off the ground, Brockman, with an ankle injury, and Liam Duggan forced out with concussion, so he will miss West Coast game next week against St Kilda. That's the early game on Saturday at the Docklands. Brisbane got a beauty against Sydney at the Gabba, the early game on Sunday. That will be a ripper of a contest as Chris Fagan waves to a couple of Brisbane fans that just hang over the race on his way down into the rooms, and the Lions will do the right thing. Got a small supporter group here compared to a lot of the other clubs, but nonetheless, they've come along, and the Lions are making their way down to the Farmer Freeway end of the ground to show their appreciation for their support. 16-10, 106 to West Coast, 14-9, 93. Let's get the thoughts of our experts, Chris Waterman and Sharad Wellingham here. Sunday footy on ABC Sport.
Well, you said it wasn't the bounce back with the win, but I think there was a bounce back in effort and desire to perform to a certain level. Like Matty Knight spoke about pre-game, a level that's acceptable at AFL football and what the expectations are. And I think that they'll walk off the ground pretty happy with that turnaround in effort. Brisbane, they haven't won 6 in a row for nothing. They're a good side, played in the grand final last year. They've got a lot of talent in that side. And the midfield just absolutely creamed West Coast midfield, didn't they, really? I think that they took advantage of the clearances. Not only that, they dominated clearances to start with, but then were able to maximise the effectiveness of those clearances through territory, but also converting their effective inside 50s. Muddy, I think that they were just a level above in their effectiveness, hey?
Well, I think Neil and McCluggage and McInerney were the three.
Yeah.
I mean, McInerney's had 9 clearances as a ruckman.
Yeah. His ability to just step across the line in the contest or out-muscle Bailey J, who we know is continually fighting out of his weight division, but his ability to impact those clearances is massive.
As the game's turned out, with the way West Coast played the last quarter, they've ended up only 4 possessions behind. Clearances were 22 or something, so then difference is now 14.
Yeah, big last quarter.
Yeah, and inside 50s is 10 the difference. So they made it look a lot better, West Coast, but I said a few minutes ago, Chris Fagan's going to walk out breathing a sigh of relief tonight with that really well-earned 4 points.
There would have been a period in the last quarter there where he would have been really nervous.
He looks worried when he's 10 goals in front. But they would have been, they'd be pleased to get away, on a kite tonight, all the way back to Brisbane. They've got to go. It's a big stretch for them. Last game on Sunday. I don't know what they must play Sunday next week. They'd have to get a 7-day break.
They do. They've got the early one at the Gabba against Sydney.
So they need a break. They'll be, that's a big 4 points for them. They'll be going back to have a couple of days rest after this, I would have thought, and probably won't dust the boots on until at least late Tuesday or even Wednesday, give them a little bit of a break. But, just class. Well done by West Coast. I mean, that's the sort of standard they've set. They've got to keep that up for the rest of the year. That's what they need to do.
They pause, by the way, to let Liam Ryan lead them down the race. The West Coast Eagles, 2 goals in his 100th game. We'll head down into the Lions rooms in just a moment to hear the club song. Brisbane, from their 17 games, 10 wins, 6 losses and the 1 draw. And to come for them, as I mentioned, Sydney, not a bad run home for Brisbane. So they've got Sydney and then the Gold Coast on the Gold Coast, which will be intriguing now. And then St Kilda at the Docklands, GWS up at the Gabba, Collingwood at the MCG and Essendon to wrap things up right at the very end of the year at the Gabba. Let's go down into the rooms in just a moment. Brisbane making their way in for the club song. You can hear some of the applause downstairs. Big moment for them. What a final term for Kai Lohmann as well. He ended up with 2 goals and was super impressive. Took a big mark as well. Lachie Neale, what another performance. 34 disposals, 2 goals. 19 contested possessions, 9 tackles and 13 clearances. Let's have a listen to the club song down in the Lions rooms as they gather up. Just pausing for a moment. Here they go.
We are the pride of Brisbane, South Canberra. We'll come that day, we'll always fight for victory. On the side, and there's a hole. One for one. We'll dance to the drum. Go Lions, Brisbane Lions. We'll kick the winning song. We'll hear my roar.
So they're 1 from 1 against West Coast at Perth Stadium. First time that they've ever played these two sides. One of the vagaries of the fixture. Brisbane have played 6 times here in the past, and they'd all been against Freo, where they'd won 3 and lost 3. Last time they'd played here, as we mentioned at the very top, against West Coast, football was still being played at Subiaco Oval. That does seem a long time ago. Brisbane 16-10. 106 to West Coast, 14-9-93. And the results earlier today in the other games, GWS by 24 points over Richmond. The Giants are looking to build again after what's been an up and down season for them so far. They've gone back-to-back wins now with Carlton and Richmond, while Gold Coast continue their unbeaten run at home. 14-point winners over Port Adelaide. More of your thoughts, Chris, Sharad?
Well,
any for your thoughts?
I almost reckon
we pay you more than that. I'm well aware.
I almost reckon the way we spoke about the game prior, it ended up that way. We got what we hoped for. A really good effort by West Coast, but thought it would be hard to beat Brisbane. They just have a bit more class all over the ground, although it took a big effort from Brisbane.
Let's head down into the rooms. Lucky enough to be joined from the winning Brisbane team, from one of their stars, Hugh McCluggage. 32 disposals today. Congratulations, Hugh.
Oh, thank you. It was it was a hard-fought game. They played a lot better than probably what their ladder position suggests. So we knew it was going to come, but it's just a great win to get over in Perth.
Were you surprised by they were missing 2 players and one for a fair chunk of the game? Were you surprised how tight it got in that final quarter?
Not really. You always expect there's no easy games in this competition. We've had a game against Gold Coast where we lost 2 or 3 players early, and you actually probably find a gear when you're in that position because you really want to fight. So we wanted to work hard in that last quarter to try and break the game open, and I think we were able to do that in the end. But there was always a chance that it was going to be a bit of a grind, especially with some of the older players and experienced players that they have.
After a tough start to the season, goodness me, you've hit some form. Six wins in a row now. You've been able to put 100 points on the scoreboard on a number of occasions. Did you always think it would build, or were you concerned about how things were travelling earlier in the year?
There's always a little bit of doubt that can creep in when you're not playing your best football, but I think a lot was spoken of it in the bye. Fags showed us a lot of stats that were pretty similar to last year in the way that we were going with all of our KPIs. So that gave us a lot of faith that we could bounce back and hit some good form. And I think we did the same thing in 2019. After the bye, we got on a bit of a run of wins. So we've got an experienced group, and we also have young players that have come in particular into our forward line, like Chloe Lohman and Logan Morris as well. And you're seeing tonight, Kai in that last quarter, I thought was just incredible, and they're starting to really find their feet within our group. We'll get some questions from the expert in just a moment. Chris Waterman and Sharad Wellingham with us here in the ABC Sport Box. One more from me for the moment, though. You mentioned Kai Lohman. What a final term he had for you. How impressive is this young man with what he's been able to do so far this year? Oh, he's awesome. He was so impatient early days to get in the team, but he had to do his time, I guess, in the VFL, and it's really showing now the work that he's done. It's paying off. I think there was one play there in the last quarter where he pressured up the ground, which stopped what would have been a goal, and then got back and took a mark in the air, which for a young guy to do that is pretty special, and he's a huge part of the reason as to why we won. Yeah, that spoil on Hoff across centre half forward, that's one of those potentially game-turning moments. It was enormous for you. Yeah, it's great to see, particularly from our young guys, and then you've got the older guys standing up as well. So, yeah, hopefully we can keep it rolling.
Hugh, Sharad Wellingham here. Congratulations on your form and the win. Mate, it really looked like you had a couple of different gears that you were able to switch into. Is it something that you've got a lot of confidence that you can, within the games, adjust and was it a clear directive to go a little bit slower and wait for that handball receive to open up and really take the game on once the opportunity was there?
Yeah, it definitely was. That's probably the positive of having an older group that's played in a lot of big games and finals, is that when we do get told something from the coaching staff, we usually are able to implement it, and it happens a little bit quicker than if you have a younger group. So, yeah, we wanted to make the ground big, particularly because they'd lost a couple of players, and then when you do that, those handball receives and those short kicks can open up, and with guys like Zorks and Darcy Wilmot, Connor McKenna coming off the back line, we're really dangerous when we can get that space.
And I guess your form in particular, I think it's been an incredible year. How do you kind of compare it to last season, and do you think that there's even more improvement in your own game?
Yeah, I definitely think there is. There's always improvement. Probably at the start of the year I was a little bit inconsistent, and I pride myself on being really consistent and just being able to turn up and do what the team needs each week. But I've enjoyed this year in playing multiple roles. I'm back playing a little bit more inside now, but I was out on a wing for a little bit and forward at times as well. So I pride myself on the fact that I can do that and give the opposition different looks. But I'm trying to improve every day. We've got older guys, like you look at Zorks, he's got 34 and playing some of his best footy. I still think I've got a lot left to give, and it's awesome to watch Lockie and Dunks and try and learn off them as well.
Hugh, Chris Waterman, well done today. How was it from a player's perspective coming into this game, knowing what had taken place over here in the West this week?
Yeah, it's a funny one. When Simo, the news came out about him, you have so many people texting you going, "Oh no, like you guys have copped a few teams off for coach sacking." But if you look at the statistics, I think Fag said that it's maybe even a little bit under 50% that team actually comes out and wins. So you have to just look at the facts, and well, that is a pretty high percentage for a team that might not have been going that well up until that point. You've got to believe that you can do it, and we really set ourselves for a tough game, and I think that's the most important thing. You set yourself mentally for a battle, and that's what it was tonight, and we were able to come out on top.
Do you guys have a fine session? And if so, what's the fine for burning a teammate when he runs past to receive? Because Sharad and I made up a point that you guys just honour the runner every time.
Every time.
Well, it's funny, we've actually got a fines meeting on Tuesday. Big Oscar McInerney's the man for that. I'm not sure. I think, we want to use those players that work hard because, if you don't reward them, then they might stop running, and that's a big part of football these days, to make sure you open up space and then you get handball receives. But no, we don't have a fine per se, but if you do burn someone, it's sure to be shown in the meeting.
How was the confidence in the centre clearance? I know you spent time, like you said, wing for half forward, but at one stage you guys were, I think you were double their clearances. Does it give you a lot of confidence and I suppose more aggressive movement at the stoppage to try and come out the front?
It definitely does, yeah. When you become reactive in there, it's a really hard place to be. We've got big Oscar McInerney playing some really good footy at the moment and giving us some good looks in there. And it's good when you get on a roll and you start getting the ball into your forward line, because that's where there's even numbers and you can make the most of it. But when it goes the other way, it's really hard to stop. So we've probably been a little disappointed with the way that our centre bounce has been going the last few weeks. We really pride ourselves on that, and we were quite strong in that area last year. So we're always looking at it and working on it.
Hugh, Clint Wilden, two more before we let you go, and really appreciate your time. Congratulations on what was a great win. Can you believe, as a player, we sit back and are amazed by how tight this season is right now. You start the week in 7th, then results go against you, you drop out of the 8, and you have a win, and now you're in 4th.
Yeah, it's insane, isn't it?
It's great footy.
It does your head in when you actually look at it as a player. It's awesome for the fans, and I think it's great for the AFL. And it's not just a ladder, but it's every week you rock up and you know that it's going to be a tough game of football, and if you're not at your best, then you're going to lose the game. So it's really exciting. It's quite stressful for players, but at the same time, it's an awesome league to be in. We're getting amazing crowds, we're getting close games, and I'm really, really proud to be a part of that.
So you've got the trendsetters next week in Sydney, but you get potentially a result over them, and as a group you say, we were there last year and it's so tight, why not us in 2024?
Yeah, it's really open, as you said. Anyone can win it, and you've just got to hit form at the right time. So we're really looking forward to that challenge next week against Sydney, who are playing some amazing football. It'll really show us how much we've improved in the last 6 or 7 weeks, and back at the Gabba as well. So it'll be an awesome game. I think it's on Sunday there. Hopefully we pack out the Gabba, and it's a good day for us.
Enjoyed the chat. Thanks for talking to us.
No worries. Thank you.
Good on you. Hugh McCluggage downstairs. Brisbane victorious in the West against the West Coast Eagles by 13 points, 16-10-106 to the Eagles, 14-9-93. Unbelievable finish to the season coming up.
I would have loved to have asked you. I'm not sure you get a straight answer, but internally, when things aren't going great, there's always the guys who get a bit grumpy and really internalise, and then all of a sudden things are going great. I would have loved to have known who's been the one who's gone from Mr. Grumpy to everything's suns and rainbows again, sunshine and rainbows again, because they can turn around pretty quick, can't they? The moods inside the four walls of a footy club.
You only need one good game of footy, even one good quarter of footy, and your whole mood changes. Or do one good thing in a game of footy. I just looking at this ladder; it's unreal.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Carlton are second on 44.
Half a game behind.
Melbourne are 8th on 40. Then there's a team on 40 out. Who's that? I'm not sure.
Port Adelaide.
And then there's 4 teams on 36.
Off the top of my head, let me just...
It's crazy, isn't it? It's great for...
Yeah, Port Adelaide on 40 points.
They're 9th on 40 points.
Yeah.
And then Hawthorn and So are all 36.
Yep.
There's 4 teams there, so there's 13 teams. The next one's 26. I don't know whether
Adelaide's down
Adelaide,
there.
so they're done. But there's 13 teams in a spot for a final.
To have 13 teams
That's unreal.
Still in it this late in the season, just 6 games to go.
So Hawthorn are still in a positive win-loss ratio, aren't they? And are 13th on the ladder, which is just outrageous.
It's a cracking finish coming up, no matter
percentage.
Who you
it's going to be massive.
Yeah, and those draws will make it interesting as well. A couple of the teams, of course, we know with draws, and Brisbane, who looked down and out early on after losing the first 3 games of the season, they will have a major role with games, as I said, to come. Sydney at the Gabba, Gold Coast on the Gold Coast, where they have not been beaten so far. St Kilda at the Docklands, GWS, Collingwood, GWS at the Gabba, Collingwood at the MCG, and then to wrap things up, they'll have the Bombers at the Gabba. For the West Coast Eagles, this is how the run looks for them. St Kilda at the Docklands, then they've got an away game against Fremantle, the derby. It's an away derby for West Coast. Gold Coast here in Perth, they have to travel to Hobart to take on North Melbourne, Carlton in Perth, and then Geelong in Geelong. Some of the youngsters did what they needed to do today for the West Coast Eagles. They showed a little bit, which is, I guess, what everyone was just hoping to see with the first run in charge of Jared Schofield.
Well, you can't show anything if you're not given an opportunity.
No, that's right. True. Choose end up with 20 plus, which is good. I thought Luke Edwards was okay. He was steady. We've already talked about Brady Hoff. I've got the feeling Jermaine Jones was a run with. I thought it was going to be on Zorko, but I'm not sure. I had a funny feeling, so I don't know whether he just had an off day or whether he was tied into someone. Not quite sure there. Hutchison showed a little bit, kicked a nice goal.
I thought Jack Williams was good as well.
Yeah, he continues to, again, he was the one that went out of the team for Hutchinson, so I'm glad he was back in. Marich showed a bit, 15 possessions. So there's something. I mean, of course, Jimby and the likes.
I actually think I like the look of Jimby in that back position.
He's a natural halfback flanker. Always has been.
Yeah, I think he likes the ball, the play in front of him, and then being able to rebound instead of that contested negating position that he often found himself in last year. I think he found himself in that position out of necessity more so than him being so much suited to it. I think that when he really develops into a strong half-back, he's not going to be a running half-back, but he can still be a rebounding half-back without being a running half-back, if you kind of know what I mean.
Yeah, and he needs to really work on his kick. That's got to be a bit more piercing. It's just a little bit up and down at the moment, but he's not got the tank of a midfielder. But what has forced him back is the Liam Ryan going into the midfield has got him back. So you get him and Duggo working together, two left footers. It's going to look a little bit different off the half-back flank with Gov. I thought Tommy Cole was really good as well.
Repeating today's result, Brisbane by 13 points, 16-10, 106 to the Eagles, 14-9, 93. Let's go into the Eagles' rooms. Mitch Turner's got a very special guest with him. Mitch.
Clint got Eagles co-captain Oscar Allen alongside me. Oscar, after what has been a really tough week for the football club, you must be incredibly proud with the effort from your side today.
Yeah, it has been a tough week. Probably something that everyone on the playing group isn't really experienced with. Change of coach in the middle of the season is a big change, but I'm pretty proud of the 44 guys, not just the AFL side, but the Waffle team had their first win in a long time on the week yesterday as well. So really proud that we've been able to galvanise in that way, but near enough isn't quite good enough. So although it was great to be able to send Simo off, I suppose, in with some honour, it's still disappointing not to win, and that's what we want to do here. So, proud, definitely steps in the right direction, but I think it just shows the further improvement we've got to go. Little fumbles and fundamentals of the game really hurt us, and they executed really well in front of goals. So that's just what happens when you play good sides.
How much did the senior players and the leadership group have to shoulder this week to help get the side through till today and to keep your mind focused on the future ahead now that Adam is departing?
Yeah, a bit, but when you take up a leadership role, you're really looking forward to it. And one thing that's been outstanding this year, and the coaching staff is really united. So Scully stood up this week, and he will for the rest of the season, and he's been great. But within the playing group, so obviously the leadership group is Duggo, TB and myself, but we've just had leaders appear that probably haven't shown as much leadership as they have this year. So Jakey Waterman's been outstanding all year, on field and off field, really leading by example, and the way he plays, he works his backside off. So Elliot Yeo, Tom Cole, Tim Kelly. Well, I've got a pretty mature list, although we do have a lot of younger players out there. We've still got a lot of other leaders we can bounce off. So it has been a challenge, but a lot of hands are helping, which has been positive.
Terrific game from yourself today. I'll throw you upstairs to our experts. Got Clint Wheeldon up there alongside Sharad Wellingham and Muddy Waterman.
Oz Chaz here, mate. The gear that you guys went to in the last term there, where your clear direction is to take the game on and I suppose use the handball receives and keep the ball in motion. Is that something that, Scully could potentially bring in earlier in the game to try and produce more scoring opportunities faster?
Yeah, absolutely. As a forward, I'm sitting up there, I'm licking my lips. I was thinking, there's a lot of space out here in the last quarter, but I actually think it's a lot to do with our S&C, and we've worked really hard to get our fitness levels up, and it seemed like we were running on top of the ground a little bit, and it was probably led by our younger players like Ruben Jinby off the half-back flank. I thought he was sensational tonight, and he's probably one of our fittest players on our list, so I think he really helped with that. But getting that mentality earlier is definitely something we'll probably look at this week because, like I said, ahead of the footy was great, and I actually thought we defended behind that pretty well too.
And your kind of requirement, I suppose, where Scully chucked you behind the ball, we hadn't seen that too often of late. Was that just a matter of making sure you guys didn't get scored against in the last couple of minutes, or is that something that is going to be used throughout quarters whenever needed?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. It's probably something I did a lot earlier in my career when I played forward and back a lot. Just a little bit to try and ease momentum. I mean, footy is 3 goals in 2 minutes, and all of a sudden the game's away from you. So just at the end of the third quarter, I think it was, we just thought this could be a good chance to arrest a little bit of momentum and make sure we're within touching distance going into the fourth. So good call from the coaching staff, and it was pretty simple and clear. So yeah, we'll probably experiment with that going forward, but it's also nice. Got some pretty senior heads down back as well, so they were just telling me where to go, and luckily one fell in my hands.
Oscar Murray, do you think the boys just fell away in the last few minutes given that you were down on those rotations?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's probably a combination of the tickets we had to spend to get back into the game. Like the way they score from stoppage it's a great way to play the game because you're not having to transition, and that's an area of our game we're developing. So a lot of our scores, it felt like, were coming off transitions where we've got to work our backside off, whereas they were getting some really direct look from stoppage. So that's probably an aspect of it. But yeah, Duggo and then the sub who comes on, unfortunately Brocky wasn't able to play out the game too. So probably a combination of both of those things.
Oscar, Clint Wilden here. Here's a big picture one for you. The CEO's meeting is in town. We saw all the big wigs are here. You've got a direct line as a co-captain to Don Pike, the CEO of the West Coast Eagles. If you could ask him one thing to bring up at the CEO's meeting, what would it be?
Straight after a game like that, it felt like there were a lot of 50-metre penalties that came at inopportune times for the guys. Honestly, I think one of the big talking points that's probably been all season, and I don't want to harp on it because we're not complaining, but I think the travel stuff is probably something that will come into question, and it's actually been really positive. There's been a lot of Victorian clubs, big clubs like the CEO of Collingwood coming in supporting it as well, so I reckon they'll be pretty high up on the agenda.
Always good to chat to you, Oscar. Thanks for spending some time with us.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Oscar Allen downstairs in the West Coast Eagles rooms after the Eagles went down by 13 points today. They were determined to put in a good showing as they said farewell to their departing coach Adam Simpson and welcomed the new interim coach into the box in Jared Schofield. He never, ever gave it up and would not go away. But Brisbane far too good in the end, winning by 13 points, 16-10, 106 to 14-9, 93. We're mentioning just how tight the finish to the season is too. 8 points, so 2 games separate 2 to 13th.
It's crazy.
Which is incredible.
Votes?
Yes, we'll hear. Just a second. Hey, who's hosting here?
No, it was votes, question mark.
Yeah.
Sharad Waterman is.
Sharad Waterman. Well, he did bring the waters in at quarter time when he was not supposed to be out of the box, which was quite amusing.
Just on the travel, though, Brisbane, last game of the weekend, got to go all the way back to Brisbane. They're the type of things you want to take out.
Yeah.
And West Coast next week, early game Saturday. It's tough. Like you said, it's all just those little things. If they've got a Sunday game over in Victoria next week, it makes a big difference to the way they can train here during the week.
Yeah, and again, as we mentioned a couple of times, it's going east and playing is a lot harder than having to return west to play. They've done all the studies to suggest it is significantly tougher.
Yeah, you can go play a Sunday next week and then return here and play a Saturday.
That's right.
That's no issue.
I know the fixturing guys have got a lot to do with, but it's less of an issue if you come back and play from a Sunday to a Saturday than it is if you have to play on the Sunday and then go across there and play on the Saturday. All the studies suggest this. So I'm sure this will all be brought up at the CEO's meeting. Yes, we will hear from the votes, and then after the votes we'll hear a little bit from Chris Fagan in the Express Conference. Which way have we gone? Firstly, of course, in the ABC Footballer of the Year and in the Christian Medal.
Yeah, so ABC Footballer of the Year was pretty standout performance from Lachie Neale for the 3 votes. I've done it in reverse, haven't I?
You have, but that's okay.
2 votes for Hugh McCluggage.
This is called karma for chucking me out of the bus earlier today.
2 votes for Hugh McCluggage, who was incredible. And the big Oscar McInerney. Thought he made a great performance as the big ruckman. 9 clearances, super effort.
And the Christian medal for the best West Coast or Fremantle player?
Well, I will go the other way. We went 1 vote with Harry Edwards. Thought his game was terrific today and is growing in confidence from what we can see, taking his marks. 2 votes, Liam Ryan going into the midfield, had an impact on the game and swung it back at West Coast way a number of times and hit the scoreboard with 2 goals in his 100th game. And we thought the best player for West Coast today, and this kid continues to get better and better, with 3 votes, was Brody Hoff on his job on Charlie Cameron. We thought he was terrific and he's becoming a very important piece of that West Coast team.
Just after the game as well, I loved the interaction between Charlie and Brady. Watching them in the middle of the ground.
Spoke at length, didn't they?
They spoke at length, and I could kind of see that, a camera on them. They were talking about the game, and Brady's young in his career. Charlie's an extremely talented forward and has a lot of craft, and they were talking about the game and the way they were playing and taking space away and the way that Brady played. And so I think it's just great interaction to see that and respect from Charlie.
Another Brownlow medal fancy has fallen this week with Isaac Heaney being suspended. Does Lachie Neale win his 3rd? I know there's some other guns about, but goodness me. He gets 3 votes last week. He'll get 3 votes today.
He gets 3 today. But Carlton got beat, but Cripper had 30 plus and kicked goals again, didn't he?
And nearly dragged him in that last quarter.
Yeah, so they're neck and neck for me, I reckon. Bont. He's not too shabby.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's another great count.
It's sad for Isaac because he was on target, but we might find out at this point of the season on that night that Gould and Warner and Heaney
pinching votes
are 3-2-1s all throughout the year and taking them off each other.
Yeah.
Let's sneak in 60 seconds, if we can, of Chris Fagan, the Lions coach.
If you look at West Coast results this year at this ground, they've beaten Melbourne, they've beaten Fremantle, pushed Essendon, pushed St Kilda. So we were fully expecting that. And there's always an emotional response in a sacked coach game, so to speak. I think that's the 3rd one I've been involved in with the Brisbane Lions. We played Carlton after they sacked a coach and they beat us, and then I think we played the Gold Coast and we won that game, so it was good to get away with the points. I thought it was a relatively professional performance in a fairly hostile environment when the opposition had a lot to play for.
You were so dominant in the clearance battle up until 3/4 time, but probably didn't get the full rewards of what you could have. How did you assess that situation?
Yeah, that's a very fair call. It was a massive differential. And you'd like to score a little bit more from those situations than we did. But still, at the end of the day, that's why we won the game, because we won so much territory from stoppage. They were always going to have a good quarter. It just happened to be the last, and they got a lot of centre bounce clearances and were able to score from those. So we'll have a bit of a look at what happened there. But overall, from a clearance perspective, it was a good performance by us. I thought Oscar McInerney played a great game in the ruck, and I thought Lachie Neale and Josh Dunkley were excellent at ground level.
They certainly were. Let's have a look at those stats very quickly for you as we wrap things up here. Lachie Neale with 34 disposals and 2 goals. McCluggage with 32 touches. Dunkley with 26 and 1. Wilmot with 21. While for the Eagles, Kelly had it 29 times and kicked a goal. Yo 24 with 1 goal. Witherden 22. Cole with 22. The inside 50s went the way of Brisbane. 56 to 46. The disposals to the Lions 340 to 336. And the clearances to Brisbane 47 to 38. West Coast won the free kick count 10 to 7. Thanks very much, Chris. Sharad, always good to chat with both of you. See you tomorrow for extra time here in the West from 7 o'clock on ABC Perth. And if you're the rest of the country, Sport Digital from 9. The results today: Brisbane by 13 over the West Coast Eagles, GWS by 24 over Richmond, and Gold Coast by 14 over Port Adelaide. And just a reminder too, if you're a fan of the Euros and the round ball game, Sport Digital will have you covered tomorrow morning, England versus Spain. Clint Wilden on behalf of the rest of the team signing off from Perth Stadium. Thanks for your company. What a finish of the season we've got coming up. Round 19 in the last 6 rounds, they'll be fantastic. Cheers for being with us on ABC Sport.